someone to support at the moment, so why not be me?
An English sporting triumph would be very welcome. Button's rivals, though, beg to differ. Ahead of him on pole, there's Kimi Räikkönen, the Iceman from Finland, in the revitalised McLaren Mercedes. Rubens Barrichello's also up front. The Brazilian is a Silverstone specialist. He's scored at every Grand Prix. Alongside Button, there's Michael Schumacher. He comes to Silverstone with 9 wins out of 10. It is race day at racing headquarters. Welcome to the Foster's British Grand Prix. Hello there, good afternoon to you all. Silverstone is a 100,000 sellout. The weather, though, is none too clever. It's overcast, it's a chilly 16 degrees. At least there's no rain around at the moment. Over the years, we've had 20 home winners. This afternoon, Jenson Button would just love to join that exclusive club. Tony, can he join that club? Can he win?
Well, he can do. He didn't get the pole position he wanted, but he's in 3rd place, so he's well poised to attack, and especially if people make mistakes in changeable conditions.
You gnarled old pro, you're wondering about those red cars, aren't you?
I've just been watching them all weekend, and you know, the tyres is what it's all about for this day. But yeah, I think it'd be a red car. I'm not sure who, though.
OK, must tell you to watch out for our report on that fantastic parade down at London's Regent Street. Really was a magnificent occasion. Martin Brundle, he borrowed a Jag for the drive down there. Only 500,000 watching his every move. No real pressure then. A very entertaining ingredient that on our pre-race show. Entertaining it was not pre-qualifying. We looked at that, Tony, and we were embarrassed by what we saw. Cars deliberately going slowly.
Because of the fabric of the regulations, you know, people were trying to avoid the rain and deliberately either spinning their cars, as we believe Michael Schumacher did, just turning off the traction control or turning it down a little bit so to avoid getting into trouble with the FIA, perhaps. But it was cynical to a huge degree. We were pretty ashamed of it, and we were just thinking about the fans.
Just to explain, they went slowly in that session so they could run early in the qualifying session that mattered, thinking the rain would come, and it didn't, and we all cringed with embarrassment.
Well, it backfired on a lot of those guys. You know, they've got a lot of people down the pit lane with weather reports coming through, spending a lot of money. But at the end of the day, people are paying good money to be here. They want to see entertainment. They want to see Formula One cars at their best. We didn't get that yesterday.
A lot of people were very upset up and down the pit lane, including Toyota's Mike Gascoigne.
There's a lot of people who paid to be in it. I think it's one of the best Saturday crowds that we've had at Silverstone for many years. And they have to sit and watch that. I don't really think that's what Formula One should be about. And when we talk about cost-cutting, teams being in trouble, we ought to be putting on a show, and that's not entertainment. And ultimately, if Formula One's self-interest is such that we can't be bothered to entertain the people who paid to watch, then I don't think that's good for the long-term future of the sport.
We agree with every word of that. Let's take a look at what the Ferraris did in qualifying. First of all, Michael Schumacher. He very rarely gets on pole here, does he? And he's not here this weekend.
Michael has never been that strong qualifying here at Silverstone. I think that's very much the style of his driving, just doesn't quite suit the circuit. Normally he's very good on the technical aspect of the circuit, but the quicker stuff around here doesn't quite suit his behind-the-wheel inputs. But you know, Michael's still strong, he's still in a good grid slot, he's up there in the 2nd row. The man, though, that I'm very confident about for this weekend is Rubens Barrichello. He loves it around this place here. You know, last year we saw the guy probably the best Grand Prix of his career. He's up in the front row. We know the Ferrari's going to be strong, we know the Bridgestone will be strong as well.
And he's out-qualified Michael Schumacher. That is unusual. How about David Coulthard? He wants a job in the game next year, doesn't he?
Gets a job, he's out there with his CV, but he needed to do better than this in qualifying. He did better in France. He was ahead of Räikkönen, he was 3rd on the grid, he finished ahead of him in the race with the new B-Spec car. But he had a problem going through Beckett's in that 1st sector, and he struggled a little bit, but he could go very well in the race. He's starting 6th.
Mercedes McLaren have improved the car over the last few weeks. Räikkönen is on pole.
Kimi's been spectacular all weekend long, Jim. I mean, he's just the most committed guy out on the circuit at this present point. Through the Beckett's combination of corners, unbelievable the amount of concentration and focus that he's making the car through those level of corners. You know, this guy is on top of his game. He's got something underneath him now to see where he can get the results from. Is going to be another thing. The race is going to be tough for him.
Rare smile from Ron Dennis at the end there. Jenson Button was last to go. It was chilly, it was cloudy, and he's ended up on the 2nd row.
Again, not what he wanted. He wanted to try and get pole position, but he knew realistically that he was struggling with the car on Friday. They made aerodynamic changes and setup changes to the car. Just look at the clouds there. And of course, aerodynamics on the car are very, very sensitive to these crosswinds which affected him as well. But huge support here for St George and a special helmet there, but Kimi was the man and he got his third pole.
Absolutely. Quite a few changes to that grid. Olivier Panis in the Toyota, he's fallen foul of the stewards. Go on then, Mark, just chat us through it.
McLaren are back. Kimi Raikkonen on pole position, the first time since the US Grand Prix last year. Rubens Barrichello takes the front row. Jenson Button did an incredible job to qualify third. Michael Schumacher some problems. Trulli with the Renault fifth. Coulthard a little bit despondent, a second down on Kimi. Montoya with the Williams not handling to his liking. Sato eighth. Webber in the chair takes ninth. Massa had as good position with 10th on the grid. Genet a little bit disappointed with the Williams. To Massa first of the Toyotas, they're 12th. Christian Klein 13th. Pantano 14th in the Jordan. Heifeld outgunned by his teammate. Alonso engine penalties for 16th. An unhappy Panis with his time deleted by the FIA for blocking Massa's qualifying lap. The two Minardis with engine penalties, and Fisichella 20th and last because of an engine penalty as well.
Well, last weekend at Manicourt in France, Ferrari opened their doors for us. This weekend, Jaguar are our featured team. We're going to join the Austrian driver Christian Klien with Ted Kravitz as he makes his way to the circuit this morning.
You seem to be ultra aggressive on track. Is that your kind of racing?
Yeah, I think that's my kind of racing, and I think I learned this. I raced 3 years in Formula BMW, then 1 year in Formula Renault European Championship, last year in Formula Series. It's all really tough championships where I have to fight really hard.
And it's the same in Formula One? You can still battle wheel to wheel with these guys?
You have to be a bit more careful because you have so high speed, you know. It's a lot more dangerous in Formula One, but you're still able to fight with the other drivers and to fight for your position. It's quite tough here, Formula One, especially the first year where the most circuits are new for me. And but there are also so many little things what you have to fit together on a race weekend, what you cannot see from the outside, and that's also for me was one thing I didn't know that, and that's a lot of things to learn, and it's not easy. Yeah.
What about Mark, your teammate? He seems to be really quick.
He's a very quick driver, yeah, and but also a friendly person, so it's very easy to work with him, and especially for a young driver, you can learn a lot of such a driver, and it's very nice to be his teammate, and I think he can learn a lot because he's a really quick, nice guy.
Okay, well, Christian, thanks very much for giving me a lift. Don't know how I would have got in otherwise.
Yeah.
And have a good race this afternoon.
Thank you very much, yeah.
The Formula One community has been shocked and saddened this weekend by the death of John Walton, sporting director at Minardi. And this morning at the Minardi garage they observed a period of silence. John Walton had a heart attack on Monday. He passed away peacefully on Friday with his family at his bedside at St Thomas's Hospital in London. He was 47. This tribute comes from Minardi team principal Paul Stoddart.
This week, as by now many people have heard, Minardi has had a very difficult weekend with the tragic loss of John Walton, our sporting director. But much more than our sporting director, John was a much loved member of the Formula One community. He's got friends, and it's been so evident this weekend just how many friends he's got up and down this pit lane. John sadly suffered a heart attack last Monday evening and succumbed to it on Friday evening. He will be sadly missed, not just in Minardi, but throughout the whole Formula One community. And our best wishes and sympathy go to his family and his friends.
And what a way to be with Jaguar for Meet the Team at Silverstone this weekend. They've given me a set of fireproof overalls and a pucker Formula One car. The streets of London have been cleared. It's absolutely amazing and surreal. We're in a makeshift paddock in central London. There are a few other faces around here you might recognise too.
My biggest motivation is to sort of break the speed limit legally.
Well, that's about 32 miles an hour then, is it?
I hear you're only going to do about 70 miles an hour.
What are you going to do then?
I've got my limited to 190.
You're always faster than me, Nigel.
You probably don't know how many gears are in the car, do you? How many gears have you got?
Between 5 and 10.
It's 6 or 7, isn't it?
7.
Oh,
I've got 7.
okay.
How many have you got?
Can't quite remember. It's all automatic.
But there's only 2 pedals in there now as
Yeah.
well. What, I mean, that's just, we used to have 3, you know, now you just got 2 and you flick around
Well,
on
we
those
go so
little
much quicker now.
Well, that is a fact. That is a fact. We're all dressed up, ready to go. Let's go and give them some fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty good, and I hope that they enjoy the show. All the teams are taking a big thing just to come to do this between the races, and it's pretty nice to see it.
And people hear the noise and maybe a bit of burning out and getting some smoke, and just giving general appreciation of just how powerful these cars are.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, and you. You remember what to do.
But you never lose it, do you?
You don't lose it, but I've never seen Martin's eyes as wide as that. Tell a lie, in the West End of London about 2 in the morning.
Now, a London Grand Prix, what are your feelings on that?
as a promotion, it's wonderful, and a shot in the arm for Formula One, so many people turning out, you know, for the popularity, but it'll never happen as a Grand Prix. There's too many logistical problems.
He's done pretty well so far, has Michael Schumacher, this season. So we've just seen Martin Brundle getting the old racing juices bubbling once again. He's behind the microphone for us this weekend. We're going to sit him down now with Mark Webber to discuss Mark's qualifying lap. He's going to start 9th in the Jaguar.
Mark, you're going to line up 9th on the grid. Probably not where you'd hope to be, but still a spectacular amount of effort and commitment went into that. Let's take a look at that lap.
Yeah. Well, starting the lap down into the first corner. Very, very, very quick first corner. You can hear the rev limiter just before I turn in, using a bit of curve on the exit. Got that right to start with.
Yeah. And now the incredibly quick Maggott and Beckett's corner.
Yeah, very, very quick. It's important to get the sequence right in here. The further in you go, the slower it gets. We need a very, very good exit onto Hangar Straight here. The wind plays a big role there as well. So now just a little relax along the straight. Got the first part of the sector behind me. Looking to get into Stowe as deep as possible. Very late, wait a little bit mid-corner, then hit the power. Very, very hard. Get a good exit down the hill here. Tricky braking here, downhill, can't quite see the apex. A little bit conservative on the brakes I was, but then I made sure I got a really good exit out of club.
Now you tend to go a little wider on the exit there, yeah, to free the car up, but it's a longer distance.
Yeah, get the traction control released, if you like. A bit of a tailwind into turn 11 and 12 there at Abbey, which we recovered the situation. Bridge is flat and fantastic corner. Pryor again, a lot of wind from the inside. We saw a lot of people having trouble with that with practice, so managed to get through there. And it's hard to finish the lap here. It's very slow speed and quite frustrating for the cars because they've had such a big start to the lap. So they're quite frustrated in there, and now we're just driving straight to the line as quick as we can.
Are you staring at the dashboard, waiting for the time to come up?
Yeah, exactly. As soon as it pops up, then Pete came on the radio and said, "Good effort," and I was really happy with it.
Take us through Copse one more time. You're going to be pulling 18,000 revs bouncing off the limiter in 6th. What are you doing then on the way in?
Well, just a very, very light brush of the brakes. Again, it was probably the best I got it all weekend, and the turning point's absolutely crucial. Looking for a little bit of inside curve, and now hard on the power, and again letting the car run a bit wide. The grip on the exit there is very good, but very, very good corner to get right in the Formula One car very, very quick.
Abbey chicane gave you a bit of a difficult moment. Talk us through that, Mark.
Well, arriving here with quite a big tailwind, actually, as we found out in the end, but I knew I arrived a little bit quicker, had to brake a sniff early. Frustrating little corner to get right, but I was happy with how I got it.
OK, thanks for the insight you've given us on how to drive around Silverstone.
No problem.
He has scored Jaguar's only points this season, and there are only 3 of them. He's never scored at Silverstone. What chance of an improvement today?
I think he's got a good chance to score points today, Jim, but there's a lot of talk about Mark Webber. I think he's got vast potential, but he's still only had a 5th position in his Grand Prix career so far. I'd like to see him against a very, very strong teammate to see how he stacks up.
The popular theory, Tony, is that he's on his way to BMW Williams next season.
Yes, the reckoning is that they're going to announce by Hungary that he will be going there, but it's interesting that Mark is making negative noises about Jaguar's performance and saying it's not quite good enough and he expected more. First half of the season he's been really loyal to Jaguar. That suggests he's on his bike.
In this business, though, you can only be loyal to one person, and that's yourself.
You have to be. I mean, loyalty is not a word that's used around that paddock very often, and if Jaguar are not performing for Mark, he has to jump ship and get the equipment under him to get those results.
Right, let's just look back to last year's British Grand Prix. It was a really strong contender for Race of the Year. We saw a glut of overtaking and the drive of his life from Rubens Barrichello.
Great start by Trulli, look at him!
And look at Barrichello. That was a beautiful pass.
Wow, what a move!
And finally then, that pass is made, and Button having a look. And Barrichello's going to take it, surely. Michael's going to pass you, my friend. You didn't cover him properly, and up he goes. And a brave move there from Coulthard.
Yes, Rubens, you are the winner of the 2003 British Grand Prix, a race we'll remember for a very, very long time.
Rubens Barrichello second in the Drivers' Championship at the moment. Michael Schumacher right on course to clinch title number 7. Could happen as early as Hungary next month. Barrichello 8 podiums. It puts him 20 points ahead of Button. Trulli, he's only a couple of days off his 30th birthday, is just behind. Then Alonso relegated to 16th on today's grid. Montoya, runner-up to Barrichello here last year. Sato bedeviled by engine failures. Ralf Schumacher's season that could well be over after his back injuries at Indianapolis. He will be in a Toyota next year. Coulthard has scored in the last 3 races. Just over 25 minutes to go to the start of the British Grand Prix. That is Louise Griffith, Jensen's fiancée, getting a little peck on the cheek from Nav Sidhu at Jaguar. The majority of the weather forecasters have been 100% wrong throughout the weekend. So when spots come out of the sky, we will tell you. No rain at the moment. Giorgio Pantano, apparently, according to my man Mark Blundell, was protecting his midriff a bit there, wasn't he? Stop the seatbelt digging in, you were saying.
Yeah, it's just because the seatbelt, waist belt comes across, it's quite tight, Jim, and it tightens up in your abdomen. You just need a bit of padding there, just protect yourself.
Give us an indication of the emotions down there on the grid. Louise, she always looks more nervous, Tony, doesn't she, than all the drivers put together?
Yeah, she gets very, very nervous. She talks about that. She's also nervous because she's performing at the concert tonight as well in front of an estimated 10,000 people, truly warming up. He still can't talk, by the way. He's got a nodule on his vocal cord, so he's being very careful. He talks through his laptop.
He wouldn't want to talk too much about what happened to him in France at the end of the race last week either.
No, I think he's trying to forget that, and if he can overwrite that this weekend with a great performance, everybody will forget about it. But, you know, at this moment in time, yeah, he'll need to warm up pretty good and make sure he doesn't have none of those problems.
Let's have a word with the Englishman working for Ferrari, who loves to beat the English on their own soil. Ross Brawn.
Well, indeed, Ross, are you looking forward to beating the English on their own soil? And big question, Rubens or Michael? Michael or Rubens?
Well, either. We don't mind which. It has a special flavour about it, trying to beat a lot of the teams I've worked with in the past. So there is a bit of extra needle, a bit of extra spice at British Grand Prix. I say not many of our team feel it, but I do. So there's a bit of an edge to this weekend.
Just briefly, what's going to govern strategy? Tyre degradation? It's quite a green track, isn't it?
Yes, and probably the rain last night worked in our favour, because as the track rubbers in, it moves more towards a Michelin tyre. So I think particularly at the beginning of a race, the Michelins may suffer a lot of degradation. We've got to try and not be held up by them, either by changing our strategy or overtaking. I think if they suffer a lot of degradation, we'll see some overtaking this afternoon, which would be good.
Thanks very much, Ross.
The fans. Let's go down on the grid. In the heart of it all is Martin.
Yeah, absolutely, we are here. What a beautiful position to be standing. Just behind Kimi Raikkonen's car in pole position. Rubens Barrichello in second in the glorious Ferrari. Jensen Button here in third place. Got a great view heading towards the first corner. A sellout crowd. What more could you want? Let's see if we can have a sound bite from one or two of these drivers. And Rubens is talking there to French TV. Kimi, interestingly, already in the car, doesn't want to talk to anybody, not because he's nervous. I think he just wants to focus on what he's doing. And I'll come back to Rubens momentarily. Let's see if we can find Jensen Button. We need to have a word from him. The grid is absolutely full of politicians, but I don't think you've turned on to see them today. They're all profiling, pretending they're free. Haven't seen them do too much for the British Grand Prix yet. Let's see if they can prove us wrong. Jensen, well, what do you think? A lot of pressure on you today.
Thank you for that, Martin.
Good, I thought you'd be... that's all right, you're just joining ours, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, you've been handling it really well all weekend.
It's been... the team have done a good job of keeping it quite relaxed for me, so I can just get on with my job, and it's been fine. There's been... obviously, there's a big crowd here, which is fantastic, and hopefully we can put on a good show for them.
Oh, he had supreme pressure yesterday. Had to wait right until the end of qualifying, all the expectation, and he drove beautifully. You can't be too unhappy with that. You seem to cope with it.
No, I was happy with yesterday's performance. You know, we're in a good place today for the race, so I'm looking forward to it.
Did I hear you had to change some aero parts on your car because the car was not too good in the wind yesterday?
We have changed parts over the last 2 days, but it's a lot better now. You know, I'm happy with the car, and the wind's a little bit less than it was yesterday. So.
All right, so that's not going to hamper you too much.
It won't be a problem.
Good luck. Right, I don't know if Rubens was anywhere near. And anyway, we've spoken to Stirl today. We won't bother him. Let's just see, because I think Rubens Barrichello's got the best chance. We're going to have to step over this Ferrari gear, which they are not going to be happy bunnies about. But can he make it? Rubens, well, you were brilliant here last year, maybe the race of your life. You've been quicker than Michael all weekend. Tell us what's going to happen.
Well, to be honest with you, I thought pole position was on the cards. I wasn't expecting Kimi to go faster, but now we have to see what's the balance behind him, see if I can overtake on the start, something like this. I have the pace to go really fast, so hopefully I can have a free track.
All right, well, you know, there's a lot of English fans, British fans watching here, so don't give Jensen a hard time, will you, when he's coming through?
Sir, I would love to be on the podium with him. Would you let me go first, please?
Okay, good luck. We better go around the front, I think, rather than try to step over. There's some people down the grid that I want to talk to. I was hoping to get hold of Bernie as well. The place is so full of people. It's incredible. You can't see the wood for the trees as usual, as I seem to have to say every time. Can you... we're still going. Let's stop by on our way down. There's somebody I particularly want to talk to down the back who I've known since you was a baby. And where's DC? Is DC on the grid? DC is on the grid because he's in the car. All right. Give him a thumbs up there. And Bernie apparently is down here somewhere, so we'll wander down and we'll try and find the little lady I'm looking for in particular. And Montoya getting ready to get in the car. Sato, a quick word with him. Takuma, have you got more fuel than the others? Is this why you're back down the grid?
Well, I can't tell you, but I'm very confident with my strategy today.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do now to change it, so we can't spoil it for you, but you're comfortable, you've got what you need.
Yeah, I am comfortable, and obviously the weather, nobody knows, but it's going to be a good one. Anyway.
Good luck. The weather, interesting point. 20% chance, apparently, 20% chance of sprinkly rain, which always makes the race so interesting. And here's Bernie and Slavica. Bernie, how are you? Hi, Slavica. So Silverstone's looking good?
Yeah, look good. The sun's good, everything's super.
Yeah. Okay, and do you think we'll be here next year?
You know we'll be here. All you've got to find is somebody with the money. So why don't you put some of your money and we'll do it together?
I couldn't afford to lose that amount of money. I'm a very poor man compared to you, but all right, well, it's good to see you. Slavica, I think you're not very happy with my grid walks. You want to give me a bit of a slapping?
I just love you. We admire you, darling. Without you, Formula One, I don't know where I will be.
I know you missed it. You told me they were really boring. Okay, have I got any time left? I've got 20 seconds left to talk to this young lady. We're going to have to jog down here. The grid girls are all beautiful, and this one is Mickey Jordan, Eddie Jordan's daughter. Luckily, she got her mother's looks, of course. Mickey, how did you get this job, other than being, of course, your dad around? But did you apply for it or what?
I didn't. I don't know.
All right, so you got to leave it in. Okay, is it cold here? At least the sun's come out.
When the sun's out, it's actually okay.
All right, you're doing a brilliant job. Good to see you again. And back to you, Jim.
Well done, Martin. Jensen Button so laid back. Ruben saying, let me go first on the podium. Sato saying he is comfy. And you heard it here from Bernie Ecclestone. Silverstone looks super. A McLaren on pole with Raikkonen. McLaren, the best of British 12 times. So of Ferrari. Barrichello on the front row. Schumy's behind him. Expect Trulli's Renault to be the fastest starter. What about Jensen Button's BAR? His balmy army is gathered around a sold-out Silverstone. It is the British Grand Prix racing your way. It's mid-July, it's Silverstone. The weather's indifferent, but we have a full house, 100,000, all inside with no reported traffic problems. It's race 11 in the championship, the British Grand Prix on ITV1 with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Thank you very much, Jim. Afternoon, everybody. Well, what a cracking atmosphere, particularly as Jensen Button came to the grid, but really as all these drivers came to the grid. Kimi Raikkonen, Rubens Barrichello, Michael Schumacher, they applauded and hooted them all. A wonderful, wonderful atmosphere here. A sellout crowd, as Jim was saying, at Silverstone. And typically autumnal July weather and one of the best racing tracks in the world. There's a man with a lot of national expectation on his shoulders. At British Hearts Racing yesterday when he set a great lap to snatch third place on the grid. Back in 2000 when he made his Formula One debut here at Silverstone, he passed Michael Schumacher on the first lap. Great memories for him. And today he's alongside the maestro on the grid. There's a look at the 17-turn Silverstone track, of which 6 of the corners are 150 mph plus. One of the fastest circuits on the World Championship, average lap speed 140 miles an hour. And there's a man with a little bit of work to do this afternoon. He's been outclassed so far this weekend by his teammate Rubens Barrichello. Schumacher starting 4th on the grid, Barrichello 2nd, but who would bet against this man who is so very good at thinking on his feet? Chasing his 80th Grand Prix victory today, Michael Schumacher. There's Jensen, and there is Kimi Raikkonen on pole position. Amazing to think, isn't it, that McLaren qualified for the first Grand Prix of 2004 in 10th and 12th places in Melbourne, Australia. And here they are, just after the halfway point in the championship with a revitalised package, and Raikkonen sits on pole position today. Can he win the Grand Prix? Well, that will be something else if he can. Certainly he's been had the swagger back, Kimi Raikkonen, a man who likes to carry himself confidently around the paddock. The first half of this season, the car has not been performing, and Raikkonen's had the shoulders down a little bit, but all this weekend he's been fast. Top of the timesheets in 3 of the 4 practices, and pole when it counted. There's the grid then, the front half of it. Fernando Alonso did qualify in 6th place yesterday, but because he had to change his engine, he's dropped to the back of the grid. That's good news for David Coulthard. Pushes him up to the same row as Jarno Trulli. Watch out for Trulli pipping Schumacher off the start-finish line. And we heard from Ferrari technical director Ross Brawn just there on the grid that he feels the Bridgestone tyres have the advantage at the moment on the cooler track, and expects the Michelins on the Williams and the Renaults, the McLaren and the BAR to struggle a little bit in the opening phase of this Grand Prix. So we will see whether or not that happens. The weather, hard to predict as always here at Silverstone. We've had some cracking Grand Prix here over the last few years where a little sprinkling of rain has spiced things up a little bit. There's a man who's won here twice in the past, 99 and 2000, back-to-back Silverstone victories for David Coulthard. And Martin, what price a British victory today? Jenson Button 3rd on the grid, David Coulthard in 6th. How do you read it?
Well, as you say, DC's won it twice. He races better here than he seems to qualify. We'll find out how much fuel they've got in the car. I'm expecting them to stop, the front runners to stop probably 3 times today. It's all about stopping. Michael and Rubens winning, isn't it? I think the strongest chance of that is Raikkonen, of course, and Jenson Button. Trulli and Coulthard should be there in a watching brief. Williams don't appear to have a good setup at this stage. We'll see how it unfolds. Maybe they're missing Ralf Schumacher's technical abilities in there, because they seem to be well off the pace, but Montoya will wring its neck greater than anybody else, I would imagine, would do this afternoon. So I think we're set for quite an intriguing Grand Prix.
Seemed like a nice atmosphere on the grid, a lot of people around, a lot of familiar faces, and generally a very good, positive, friendly atmosphere at Silverstone this week. In a sense, for me, rather like Montreal, they feel this Grand Prix might be under threat, the British public, and they've come out in their numbers to support it. And what I'm really impressed with is how the crowd right below our commentary position, it's a real mixture of colours, isn't it? There's BAR hats, Ferrari hats, Williams. There's a tremendous spread of support.
Yes, there is. We had nearly as many people here yesterday for qualifying as came last year for the race itself. They've adjusted the ticket pricing, which has helped a bit. What I really appreciated yesterday was whoever did a good job in qualifying got a cheer and a round of applause, whatever colour hats or T-shirts the fans were wearing. British fans, as ever, very, very knowledgeable on Formula One, the sport they seem to love. The green light lap then. This is, they're still, of course, using up their valuable fuel as they go around on this, so they want to save as much as they can, but get brake temperature, tyre temperature, prepare themselves for the Grand Prix. Once again, critically, it's a Michelin runner on pole, so Raikkonen should be pretty steady going around here to give himself a better chance of ensuring Barrichello should not be up alongside him going into the first corner. And I know that they're on the tail then of the Minardi. That's John Boy Walton, who sadly died 2 days ago, the technical director of the Minardi team. Everybody very cut up in the paddock, very, very cut up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, he wanted the Minardi team, would have wanted the Minardi team to race this weekend. That was what his family and friends believed, and being a true racer, you'd have to go along with that. He was one of the great racers, John Walton. So off they go on the formation lap. As always, the mechanics pulling all the heavy equipment back into the pit lane. Just to bring you up to speed for those of you who don't follow Formula One regularly, they qualified yesterday with fuel in the car with which they start the Grand Prix. So when Martin said they're expecting the first cars to come in perhaps around lap 9 or 10, those are people who've decided to run light in qualifying to get a good grid slot, but they'll pay a small penalty for that, possibly a big one, time will tell, when the first round of pit stops come through. So it's not like the old days where you qualify with no fuel in the car or hardly any. In current Formula One, you carry some, and it's up to you how much you carry. So it could be quite a big difference between the fuel loads in some of these cars. Jenson Button, Martin's certainly been putting it about last night and again this morning. He believes he's got quite a bit more fuel in his car than the two in front of him, Raikkonen and Barrichello. If you're going to say that kind of thing, you kind of need to back it up. You can't magic up fuel from nowhere. You've got to make a later pit stop, really. So that'll be very intriguing to say, but you'd have to say that the BAR so far not really had the pace of the Ferrari. Can Jenson find the extra crowd power to push him along here this afternoon?
Yes, what I asked Jenson about on the line was I heard this morning that they had to change some of their latest aerodynamic pieces because they were unstable in the high wind conditions that we're having, causing them some difficulty, some inconsistency. So hopefully that will not slow him down too much. But it's a little bit like I'll knock you out in the third round, isn't it? It's all the talk before the bout starts. And we'll find out soon enough who is all the smoky mirrors and counter misinformation that's been going on in the paddock. And other people say, okay, right, I'm going to absolutely tell you what we're doing because there's no point in lying to you. But then you find out 2 hours later that they had a completely different fuel level in their car. Charlie Whiting, race director.
The race director, the man who decides to send out safety cars, who pushes the start buttons, the man who runs Grand Prix racing in the truest sense of the word. I love this moment before a Grand Prix. The expectation builds.
I started, I think, 10 or 11 of these, and the right-hand side of the grid does have good grip here, no doubt about it. Although it's not the racing line, it's traditionally not as difficult as some race circuits.
Britain's biggest day of motorsport starts any time now. Turn up the sound and enjoy. 20 Formula One cars. Go! Great start by Raikkonen. Look at Schumacher as well, trying to block Trulli. That was smart by Michael Schumacher. He cut Trulli out. Buttons takes up his third place. But crucially for Michael Schumacher, Trulli didn't get him. And look at the Williams going wide there.
Yes, it's Grasskreek in there, got away with it. Must have been Montoya. Fabulous start then from Raikkonen with a comfortable lead. And this is the moment where the Michelins have more grip until the Bridgestones that the Ferraris on are up to speed. Can Button do anything about Barrichello heading down to Stowe? Be one of his best chances. He's a bit too far behind.
Look at Sato diving down the inside of Montoya into Stowe corner. That's a battle for 7th place. And Sato, as we know, is a very racy customer. Has he made it stick? Yes, he has. There you can see Montoya's having a go back at him, though. Wow, they're side by side. Now Sato's got the lead again of the two of them. Raikkonen leads, Barrichello second, Button is third, Michael Schumacher fourth, Trulli fifth, sixth is Coulthard, seventh is Sato, and eighth is Juan Montoya. Great opening lap.
Yeah, some brilliant driving, and Montoya still ready to have a go at Sato. He got a great start, Montoya, ended up trying to go around the outside of Coulthard, lost out, and Sato got a clean run at him. Raikkonen, Barrichello, Button, Michael Schumacher, Trulli, Coulthard, Montoya seventh then. It's showing on the computer here, that must surely be wrong. And Webber, Massa 10th at the moment. Over the line then, Raikkonen with an enormous lead.
What a terrific opening lap by Kimi Raikkonen as he flashes across the start-finish line. That was the kind of thing you're used to seeing from Michael Schumacher, and now the two Ferraris, you can see Barrichello being dropped at the moment by Raikkonen, but we expect him to pick the pace up. Button is in front of Michael Schumacher, so as we predicted, Schumacher having some work to do here this afternoon, but one or two little paddock rumours that Schumacher's got 2 or 3 laps more fuel in his car than Rubens Barrichello. So we'll wait to see if that pans out the way as predicted, and it looks like Sato is holding off Montoya at the back there. Montoya unable to attack behind, and here's Alonso cutting his way through the field. He's in 14th place at the moment.
Started well down because of an engine change, and clearly he's not in a position on the track that matches the speed of his car, so we'll watch him coming through the pack. 14th at the moment, as you say, James. Raikkonen's lead was 3.5 seconds at the end of lap 1. Let's see if the Ferraris can stabilise that now. And crucially, Jenson Button really also able to keep a distance between himself and 4th place man Michael Schumacher. The race then has settled down into a little bit of a pattern now, and Raikkonen all over the show in left field, desperately trying to hang on to the back of the car. He's pushing for all he's worth.
He certainly is. He set very fast 2 sectors. He's really, really leaning on this McLaren. It's been a long, long time for Kimi Raikkonen since he's had a sniff of victory. But give a really good Grand Prix driver a sniff, and he'll rise to the occasion.
4.3 seconds, and Michael went across the cut-off truly straight away, and it worked very well for him. And look how bad the Ferraris were on the left-hand side of the front, but they managed to muscle their way through there. Jenson Button very close to collecting Michael Schumacher for 3rd and 4th, and back down the field, some skillful driving, no contact. And look, is that, it looks like Sato went wide on the exit of Beckett's, and Montoya has taken him through Chapel Curve, down then into Stowe. Montoya seizes the place back. That's 7th from Sato. I would imagine it'll be Sato getting it wrong in Beckett's corner, and then losing momentum on the exit.
2 of the most aggressive and racy drivers in Formula One going at it hammer and tongs on a track on which you can overtake. All of the support races this weekend, Martin, we've seen loads and loads of overtaking, which we don't often see in the Formula One tracks that we go to, just underlining what a cracking racing circuit Silverstone is. Remember last year, Barrichello passing cars left, right and centre, and we're seeing it again here this afternoon. Raikkonen leading then at the end of lap 3. He was 4.5 seconds clear of Barrichello. Here's Sato going wide.
Yeah, it was on the, as I suspected, it was then on the exit. He's so lucky there's now tarmac down there instead of gravel, otherwise it would have ripped his car to pieces. And Sato then out of shape in the final tighter part of Beckett's, giving Montoya an easy pass. The lead, 4.2 seconds. Barrichello on lap 3 matches Kimi Raikkonen. The Ferrari tyres up to temperature. Now we're going to see where they really are at this afternoon, James.
Certainly are. Raikkonen leads 4.2 from Barrichello. Button is 3rd. He's just over 5 seconds behind the race leader on the 4th lap of 60 here at Silverstone. Michael Schumacher 6 seconds behind Kimi Raikkonen at the moment. Jarno Trulli 8 seconds behind the leader. Coulthard is 9, and Montoya, having got ahead of Sato, 10 seconds behind the race leader at the moment. And side by side you can see Alonso there attacking Cristiano de Mata. Alonso making it up into 12th place now, and once again we saw it in Bahrain, didn't we, Martin? Coming through from the back of the field, this guy is mustard.
Yeah. Let's see, Trulli up in 5th place doing 121s. Alonso in traffic doing 22s. We're on board with Michael Schumacher in Bridge Corner. Into Priory then. We saw him spin off heavily there in free practice. And that is our man Jenson Button. He can see lined up in the sights. All of those antennas and aerials, pitot tubes down the front of his car. The perfect sight then to line up the gearbox of Button. But Button seems to be keeping him away. Barrichello closes the gap to Raikkonen.
Yep, takes it down to 4 seconds, and crucially, Martin, Jenson Button with Michael Schumacher behind him. Schumacher is losing 0.6 of a second a lap to Rubens Barrichello in an identical Ferrari here. He now drops back to over 6 seconds behind the race leader, and that's going to be very interesting for Michael Schumacher's race strategy. He's going to need Button either pass him on the track or need him to come in before he does, because otherwise this could harm his chances of beating his teammate Rubens Barrichello. And well, certainly comparing their histories here, Barrichello the winner here last year, but this has never been one of Michael Schumacher's favourite circuits. He's never gone, amazing to say, particularly well here. He's won it twice, which is nothing compared to what he's done other places. Here's a battle though between Christian Klien and Giorgio Pantano. That's the scrap for 14th place on the track. The Jaguar has got ahead of the Jordan, so Klien up to 14th.
Yes, he's certainly a bit lacklustre on his grid slot, Klien. We have seen him race well. They're also ahead of Fisichella then, who was similarly penalised for changing an engine. I thought Fisichella might be coming through a little bit faster than that. And Coulthard is also catching Jarno Trulli for 5th and 6th. You're watching 15th, 16th and 17th then in that picture. But lots of action all the way through the field, and Ted has further news for us.
Just been into Williams. The engineers advised him to change some things in the car, to turn the revs up to try and get past Sato. That was crucial because Sato can run longer than Montoya in the first stint.
Yeah, there's a great scrap just shaping up now between Trulli, Coulthard and Montoya. The 5th, 6th, 7th place battle. Montoya has hauled the others in now, and got ahead of Takuma Sato in the early phases of the race. The back of the day, you can see at the very top of your screens now. Trulli, Coulthard, Montoya, all together. That's the battle for 5th place. And they've dropped Sato, haven't they, after a strong couple of laps, opening laps from Sato. He seems to have fallen away there.
That's Minardi then smoking badly. Baumgartner's car. They've already had an engine change this weekend, so that's particularly bad news then for the Minardi team, who have really had a dismal one. Really has been a sad and difficult weekend for them due to their sporting director. We talked about John Boy Walton losing his life earlier this week, so let's hope they're not going to have a difficult afternoon too, but the signs are not good.
On board with Schumacher in the complex. 90 miles an hour there, 56 on the apex of this corner into Woodcote Corner. Picking up the pace then, crossing the start-finish line about 150 miles an hour. Kimi Raikkonen, though, is already into Copse. Man who challenged Michael Schumacher last year for the World Championship, came within 2 points of beating him in Suzuka, but Schumacher, the wily old fox, managed to take his 6th World Championship. I think Raikkonen came in, I know Raikkonen came into this championship this year really buoyed up by that, really keen to get stuck into Schumacher again. And what colossal disappointment for him and the whole McLaren team when their new car failed to perform, as I say, qualifying 10th and 12th for the first Grand Prix in Australia. It's been a very, very lean start to the season. One of the worst ever in McLaren's history, but here at Silverstone, on home soil, with plenty of their employees in the grandstands, McLaren are definitely declaring, we are back.
Yeah, just to put some numbers on that, McLaren at this stage last year had 85 points compared to the 22 they now have, and are they pleased to see this new MP4 19B car? And they're starting to get good reliability too, with the extra speed, which is a double whammy, isn't it? That's good for them and good for us, because it's brought them back into the mix. Montoya beginning now to join the battle for 5th, 6th, and him in 7th. That's going to be a good one as it unfolds through the afternoon, James.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the pace of Raikkonen and Barrichello. There's really nothing in it. Raikkonen's just set his fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Barrichello's taking a 10th or 2 out of him every lap, but nothing much. We ride on board, though, with Juan Montoya. We're in British Grand Prix, and we've got Jarno Trulli and David Coulthard ahead of us. We flick it into Copse Corner at 165 miles an hour, pulling over 3G laterally, pulling your head off your shoulders, and then down into one of the most spectacular sequences of corners in Formula One racing. This is Beckett's. This is what the drivers absolutely love. Coming down onto the Hangar Straight then, terminal velocity down here, 190 miles an hour under the bridge before hitting the brakes into Stowe Corner, 120 miles an hour. Montoya then keeping Coulthard and Trulli honest in the back of the 5th. They're about 13 seconds now behind race leader Kimi Raikkonen, that scrap there. So losing ground around about a second a lap.
Barrichello has got the gap down to 3.8 seconds, then just nibbling away at Raikkonen's lead. He's got the faster car at this stage of the Grand Prix. Alonso up to P12 now, and all over the back of Janay, who's having a crucial afternoon in the Williams, isn't he? He wants to keep that seat, and Williams must be thinking about trying Pitzonia, the other test driver in there, to replace the absent Ralf Schumacher.
And interestingly, news coming from Mario Tyson of BMW yesterday that Ralf Schumacher says he expected to be back in the car for the Hungarian Grand Prix, obviously doctors permitting. Now, we just caught a glimpse there of Michael Schumacher and Jenson Button, the battle for the final podium place in 3rd, and Schumacher is now closing right up onto the back of Button. And this is going to be the point of interest, I think, for the next part of the Grand Prix in the lead up to the first round of pit stops. Somebody's dived into the pits already. It's Fernando Alonso in the Renault from 13th place. So we're getting into the zone now. And Schumacher, well, we're riding on board with him now. And is that Button in front? Looks like Schumacher's lost some ground there on Button. He was right behind him at the end of the last lap. If that is the case, that's very interesting. So there goes Alonso back out onto the track, the first man to pit this afternoon.
And how strange is that? He knew he'd got a 10th-place drop on the grid with an engine change, so why didn't they just fuel him up and lose a couple more? That's really strange tactics there from Renault with Fernando Alonso. And you're right, Schumacher has made a slip somewhere and has dropped back from Jenson Button. Raikkonen leads by 3.5. Button, who you can see in the foreground, 2.8 behind him. Michael Schumacher 4th. Which Ferrari is it we're expecting in the pit lane? Here comes Raikkonen past our commentator. It's Rubens Barrichello. Barrichello pits then. That's great news for Raikkonen and Button. They're carrying more fuel.
Absolutely. This is going to be an important stop for Barrichello. How much fuel does he put in? This will tell us a little bit about his plan for the afternoon. Quite a bit is the answer to that. We'll be working it out, but but that's quite a lot of fuel gone into Rubens Barrichello's car. As I said before, he had 3 laps less fuel going into this Grand Prix than Michael Schumacher, and that's quite a big deficit. Looks like the Williams team are pitting one of their cars as well. I think that's Marc Gené from 11th place coming in. Fairly quiet Grand Prix once again for the stand-in for Ralf Schumacher.
2 pieces of news from the F1 ITV pit crew. We think the Minardi smoking was just an overfill of oil, so let's hope that's the case, and that's very good news. Alonso pitted early because he was getting held up in traffic, almost inevitable really, but he must be out of position now in terms of the strategy. Only slightly they can repair that as the race unfolds. This is the race for 5th, 6th and 7th. Truly Coulthard, Montoya, neither of whom have pitted, so nobody at the moment other than Barrichello in the top 10 have made a pit stop.
Yeah, Barrichello put about 55 kilos of fuel into the car in that stop. That'll take him around about 17 or 18 laps. Is this for Coulthard or Kimi Raikkonen? We're hearing from the pit crew. We believe it might be for Coulthard. Let's wait and see. Kimi Raikkonen leading the Grand Prix by 6 seconds. Jenson Button of Great Britain in 2nd place. Michael Schumacher set so far as David Coulthard does indeed come into the pits. Schumacher then back with Jenson Button. Whatever little slip he made out on the track, he lost ground to Button, but he's making it back again now. Fastest lap of the race to Michael Schumacher. Trulli is 4th, Montoya 5th, Sato 6th as Coulthard pits.
Stunning pace this afternoon. Already over a second a lap faster than last year's fastest lap time. I know we had some slightly inclement conditions, but the track was good then too, so a really stellar pace. Coulthard will feed back in between the Jordans by the looks of it, and Michael Schumacher is absolutely flying. That's effectively down in about 14th place. This is an overtake then. Alonso going past one of the Toyotas of Panis, it would seem, down there. So Alonso now making his way back through the field after that early stop.
Yeah, it must be frustrating for him. He'd already been carving his way through the back markers, and now he has to go and do it all over again. There is the man riding in 2nd place in the British Grand Prix. We believe he might be coming in to make a pit stop fairly soon. He's got the Cross of St George on his helmet. There he goes to start another lap. We've got Kimi Raikkonen, the race leader, into the pits.
Yes, the McLarens tend to pit 1 lap apart. Ted.
That is a fantastic performance. You've got to say qualifying performance by Kimi Raikkonen. But let's see if he's staying on a 3 or switching on a 2. What's the time on that, guys? That's 7.5. So that's only about 16 laps worth of fuel. That's a 3-stop staying on strategy.
Yes, and a tweak on his front wing too. So quite clearly the balance not quite as he wants, despite his comfortable lead. Raikkonen then back out with more fuel, fresh tyres, and a slight change of aerodynamic balance as Montoya pits from 6th place.
And now I expect we will see some real pace from Michael Schumacher. He is now in the lead of this Grand Prix. He has maybe 1, maybe 2 more laps of fuel, and this is where he's got to do some work. Out on track, you can see Kimi Raikkonen is now tucked up behind Takuma Sato, teammate of Jenson Button, and yet to make a pit stop. So this is a battle for position on the racetrack. Sato currently 5th.
Worst case scenario then for Raikkonen in that respect. He cannot afford to lose half a second, let alone the 2 or 3 seconds he's going to lose, I think, following Sato around. And Coulthard now coming back through, passing the Jordan for position, that is, because of his pit stop. So Raikkonen, Coulthard and Co have taken quite early stops. It's, as we thought, a 3-stopper shaping up.
Maria Bruni pits for the Minardi team. They've taken all the sponsors off that car, it looks like, here today. And you can see 9 seconds flat. And as I predicted, Michael Schumacher turns the wick up, 19.223. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. This is where he's got to start doing his work, because he did lose ground at the start of the Grand Prix, didn't he? Behind the front 3, I should say, of Raikkonen, Button and Rubens Barrichello. And here you can see Sato holding Raikkonen up, it would seem, at the moment. Raikkonen has a very, very good fast car under him today, and he needs to get on with it here, particularly as Schumacher is getting on with it.
Yeah, that's hurting him through those high-speed turns, and Raikkonen has to clear Sato. They're out there doing sort of 121s, late 120s. It's costing Raikkonen dearly, and now he's trying to have a go down the outside. There'll be no space there when he gets to Copse. It's a replay of the previous lap, and Raikkonen desperately trying to clear Sato. Jenson Button then remains, it seems, ahead of Michael Schumacher.
There's Schumacher coming out of Woodcote Corner to complete yet another lap. He did go long, didn't he, on the fuel? That's why he wasn't quite so quick in qualifying. 4th place, half a second down on Kimi Raikkonen.
A 1:18.9 he's just done. I meant to say Barrichello rather than Michael before with Jensen, but incredibly a 1:18.9 for Schumacher. That's 2 seconds faster than anybody else is going out there at the moment as they get back up to speed with their tyre change. And look, can Raikkonen make it stick up the inside now? Of course, yes he can, and that is crucial, but it must have cost him about 4 seconds so far. That's hurt him bad. His lead was about 3.5.
Trulli pits, good stop by Renault, 7.7, out he goes. He passed him into Cobb's corner. That takes a bottle, doesn't it? 165 mile an hour corner.
He just had to stay on in there, didn't he, and hope that Sato would get out of the way. Sato's not normally well known for shying away from a coming together. He doesn't normally jump out of the way, but Raikkonen with the quicker and slightly lighter car, I think.
I'll tell you what's interesting though, Martin, in the opening phase of this race, Rubens Barrichello was ahead of Jenson Button. He made his first stop on lap 9. Button came in 2 laps later, and look, Jenson Button has actually jumped Rubens Barrichello as a result of that first round of pit stops. Great news for the Brit then. He's ahead of one of the 2 Ferraris. Michael Schumacher, though, has yet to make a stop. He's going faster still. Fastest first and second sectors so far in this lap. A 1:18.739. The man is on fire. He's flying around this track now. Has he done enough to take the lead of this Grand Prix? Well, we'll find out shortly. It seems to me he had a big mountain to climb.
And the really bad news is that Button too now is coming up behind some traffic, albeit, as you say, having cleared Barrichello. Jenson Button is going to lose some time. Michael must have been about 6.5 seconds away from the lead. Has he done enough to just simply leapfrog straight into the lead in this one zone of the Grand Prix? His lap times are stunning.
They are indeed. Raikkonen did lose time. He's losing time again here now. 2 seconds he lost on the last lap, trying to get past Takuma Sato through this traffic with the Minardi as well. Certainly Michael Schumacher has stayed out a few laps longer than Raikkonen, and has it been enough? There's a tremendous, look at it, it's like the car park at Sainsbury's down there on the Hangar Straight. Mark Webber in the mix as well. He's battling away with Jenson Button behind him. That's a for position. Webber yet to stop in the Jaguar in 4th place.
See, this is the problem. When the computer tells you a 3-stopper is faster, you can't really take into consideration exactly how the back markers are going to fall. So what you've got are the 3-stoppers trying to make their way through the 2-stoppers here, and that is why you're seeing 4 and 5 abreast there. Button desperately trying to get past his teammate. They're on different strategies, and Sato lets him go. That's great news for Jenson Button as Michael Schumacher pits from the lead. Where is he going to come out, James?
Well, he had 23.3 seconds before this stop. We will see. 16 plus the stationary time is what you need. That's 25. Raikkonen should grab it, but look at the traffic jam he's in. Down the pit straight goes Schumacher. Raikkonen flashes past. There he is on the right of your screen. Schumacher can now hit the gas as he comes out of the pit lane. Is he ahead? Raikkonen's going to catch up with him. Is he? Not quite. And Michael Schumacher, is that Kimi Raikkonen? I think it is. Yes, it is indeed.
Yep.
And that's the lead to change then.
It's leapfrogged completely.
He has completely leapfrogged him as a result of those fast laps and the traffic for Kimi Raikkonen.
Amazing. Yeah, so that's what it was then. Michael on very, very hot laps while the others pitted and then got caught up in traffic. Somehow, miraculously, everything cleared out of Michael's way, and he's gone from 4th to 1st. And now he's got it. Now we'll see just how fast Raikkonen is, but it's Raikkonen who's got to get into the dirty air now. He'll be so amazed and frustrated to see the Ferrari. He would have thought initially, he would have been sure initially that was Barrichello he saw in the distance, and he'll be amazed to find out that is Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher leads the Grand Prix then from Kimi Raikkonen after a spell of mesmerising driving. This is lap 16 of 60 here at Silverstone. Silverstone, 43 laps to go in the British Grand Prix. You're riding on board with Kimi Raikkonen. We just got a flash of Olivier Panis, who appears to have spun out on track. He's been pushed off the circuit. We've got a yellow flag down there, but nothing too serious. Michael Schumacher leads the Grand Prix. He was 4th in the first stint, but he ran a little bit longer on the fuel than the others in the first stint. And he went to lap 15, the others all pitted around lap 10 or 11. It certainly paid off for Schumacher. He used that clear track to put in some mesmerisingly quick laps. setting the fastest lap here, a 1:18.3, much faster than anything anybody else has done. It gave him the clear air, and he's took the lead because Kimi Raikkonen found himself after his stop back in a load of traffic, and he lost 2 seconds a lap to Schumacher during that period of the Grand Prix. And to show you just a kind of an advantage he had before, as Pantano spins the Jordan there, he's right behind Michael Schumacher now, and he had 6.5 seconds on him before the first round of pit stops. That's a big loss for McLaren, a huge gain for Ferrari.
You see, Michael has that confidence because he wasn't exactly hustling Jensen in the first phase of the Grand Prix, was he? He just knew when he needed to deliver it, he'd have it there, save the tyres, keep the car nice, don't get involved in squabbles you don't need to be in, and then just nailed it when it mattered. And it's no coincidence that he was in a traffic-free zone. The teams all have brilliant systems to know where the other cars are on the racetrack, but Michael then leapfrogs clean into the lead. Raikkonen second, Button third, and going well, matching the pace of the leaders, albeit 7 seconds adrift. Pantano has spun the Jordan way too wide into starts turning in with a wheel on the grass, and it's not going to stick.
There he goes, around about Giorgio Pantano, back in the Jordan again. There's Eddie Jordan. A lot of rumours this weekend that he sold a controlling interest in that team to the Al Maktoum family from Dubai. They certainly, the family, have confirmed that they are going to buy a Formula One team and rebrand it as a Dubai Tourism Grand Prix. It's certainly going to try and pull some people into Dubai. So Eddie Jordan hopefully with a cash injection in the near future.
And this is an unusual situation. His fire extinguisher has gone off inside the car and he can't see where he's going. That's why Panis sort of wumbled off on the outside of Beckett's there. And it does happen, tends to happen more in free practice for some reason. Very unusual for it to happen during race or during testing, when those sort of bits and pieces get taken in and out of the car several times. So Panis then unusually grinding to a halt with the fire extinguisher. Couldn't see too much from the outside shot, but that's the news we're getting.
Michael Schumacher then on lap 20, leading by just over a second, but Raikkonen lapping at exactly the same pace. That last lap he was a 10th faster than the Ferrari. So this McLaren really is going like a rocket in the hands of Kimi Raikkonen. David Coulthard also running strongly in the sister car, down in 7th place at the moment. And what about Giancarlo Fisichella? 5th at the moment in the Sauber. Once again, they've gone with a very heavy fuel load in qualifying, and we didn't really see the pace of the Sauber yesterday in qualifying, did we? But I know, talking to the team, they've done an awful lot of work in the aero department, certainly the back of the car, and that car getting faster and faster all the time. Watch out for the Sauber team. Well, David Pitchforth, managing director of Jaguar Racing, joins us on the pit wall. We're meeting the team with Jaguar this weekend, and we're having a nice shot at the moment. Alonso looking at the back of your man Mark Webber. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going okay for us this weekend, actually. Mark's sticking to the plan. Obviously Alonso is a bit faster than us, and we're holding him up, but that's the way we like it.
What about Clean? Has he got any problems down there in 15th, Dave?
No, Clean's doing okay as well. He lost a couple of spots at the start, which was frustrating, but you know, he's got to stick to his plan as well. We need to do something to get him around the Toyota.
What's your latest forecast for our wonderful British weather?
No, it's dry.
Dry for the rest of the day.
Yep.
Looks like you might be about to lose a place here, David, as you talk to us here on F1 ITV, but your man Mark Webber, very aggressive as always. He's mixing it nicely with the Renaults, isn't he?
He needs to keep that car nice and wide so we don't keep him behind us.
Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll speak to you a little bit later on in the race. Alonso gets a little bit mixed up with the Minardi there, has to go around the outside, and that's a little breathing space for Mark Webber.
Yeah, it'll yo-yo around because, as Dave Pitchforth said, that the Renault is faster at this stage. Alonso out of position with a 10 grid slot penalty for an engine change during the weekend, and also then having to make an early stop, stuck in traffic. And now we're on board with Mark Webber, looking back at Alonso, looking at him, watching us and all of that sort of thing. But in Luffield corner, and this will be then down the pit straight. So we're now looking back at Webber from Alonso, and we'll cut back and show you the opposite view, heading down to Copse. Incredible acceleration down there. A tailwind makes the car a little bit flighty as you launch it into the corner, and the brilliant Maggotts left into the Beckett's right.
Put yourself in the cockpit of Alonso then. What's he thinking? Looking at the Jaguar in front of us. You're looking for weaknesses. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing a bundle of understeer in my Renault for starters, and Webber just looks slow in a straight line, looks handy round the corners. So if you can get up close enough behind him. And what is this all about? It's Raikkonen catching very, very quickly during this lap to Michael Schumacher. He's had 3 or 4 tenths out of him. So Raikkonen now once again showing that prodigious pace he had in the first few laps of the Grand Prix.
Well, this is something, isn't it? A real turn up for the books. Some people would get passed by Michael Schumacher as a result of the first round of pit stops and would say, oh, well, that's that then. He's in a Ferrari, he's the best driver, I'm giving up for the afternoon. But not Kimi Raikkonen. He has every intention of getting that lead back, whether he has to do it on the racetrack, in the pit lane, however he does it. The disadvantage for him is that Schumacher took on a lot of fuel in that first stop, considerably more than Kimi Raikkonen did. And that's going to give him about 10 or 15 laps more than Raikkonen, 10 laps more than Raikkonen approximately. And that is really against Kimi's chances of doing anything to Schumacher this afternoon.
A bit of history between these two drivers. They're both managed by Flavio Briatore, one driving Flavio's own cars in the Renault team, and of course Mark Webber is one of his managed drivers in the Jaguar car. They're all moving around at the moment for next season, and a bit of bad blood between them too when they've tripped over each other in races earlier this season. So we'll keep a close eye on this scrap for 9th and 10th. But more importantly, I think Button and Barrichello are also homing in on Michael Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen. The top 4 separated by just over 8 seconds.
Yeah, the fuel's definitely got something to do with this. Schumacher is heavier at the moment. Raikkonen, Button and Barrichello are closing up to him. Can they pass him? Ted, what have you got for us?
Just a quick line on Jordan. Giorgio Pantano's having more trouble. He's flat spotted his tyres now, and the tyres, the handling's gone away completely. Terrible vibrations in that car. Giancarlo Fisichella is also making his pit stop.
There's a man with a lot to smile about at the moment, Ron Dennis. He took it on the chin at the beginning of the season when McLaren were underperforming. He put his hands up and said, we're not good enough, we have got to get better. And get better they most certainly have in the biggest possible way here at Silverstone. Giancarlo Fisichella finally makes a pit stop on lap 24, drops the clutch, puts plenty of fuel into it. That will drop him back to around about 9th place, so a good gain there for Fisichella for running so long in his Grand Prix. Look at this battle for the lead though.
Got a bit of a carbon copy, haven't we, of qualifying, where the Ferrari was much quicker down to Stowe Corner, and then the McLaren and other cars quicker on the infield, and the final run through the lap, and Raikkonen really closing him down. They're pretty much matching lap time for lap time, but Button and Barrichello are a second a lap faster.
Yep, they certainly are, pushing very, very hard indeed. I wonder if Button's feeling the same people power that Nigel Mansell used to feel. He reckoned it was worth a second, half a second a lap every single time here. Look how close Raikkonen is now to Michael Schumacher. The crowd certainly enjoying this one here at Silverstone. Caps coming off as we go past. Right there we are, across the start-finish line. And Raikkonen is now just 0.6 of a second behind the race leader.
Ferrari sitting pretty here, because if Michael ends up backing Raikkonen and Button into Barrichello, and you're absolutely right, I think, in saying that Michael's got the heavier fuel and is going to go further, so sitting quite pretty. I just wonder if the team are pretty content to see Button and Barrichello homing in on them at a second a lap, because it plays into the second Ferrari's hands very nicely.
Yeah, there's nothing I like more than a 1-2 here, but Barrichello, his strategy certainly hasn't worked for him this afternoon. He looked like he was sitting pretty, as you would say, in the front row of the grid, as Alonso once again lines up the Jaguar of Mark Webber, but unable to make the pass into Copse. Barrichello then starting in front of Michael Schumacher this afternoon, but he's now 4th and 7 seconds behind Michael Schumacher on lap 25 of this 60-lap British Grand Prix.
19 runners then, 1 retirement. Olivier Panis, we understand his fire extinguisher went off in the middle of the Beckett's curves, so the only man not running in the race at the moment. And there then are the 2 I'm telling you about that are just homing in very quickly. The gap from the leader to P4 now, the 2 Ferraris, is 7 seconds. Michael Schumacher leads by 0.5 of a second from Raikkonen. Button is a further, see him go 5.8 down, and Barrichello half-second adrift of him. So now under 7 seconds, and Alan McNish has found Olivier Panis.
Olivier, a very bizarre incident, I understand.
Yeah, well, it's just the extinctor, you know, for the if you have a problem with the fire and the monocoque explodes and put a spray on the visor and all the steering wheel, and I going straight and I stop the engine stop.
And very unfortunate, but a very bizarre incident.
Yes, and very difficult weekend for us and for myself, but now thinking on next one.
Okay, then rejoining. This is the Schumacher-Raikkonen battle. And we have somebody pitting. Who is pitting? It is Genet then. Genet and Alonso pitting. They were line astern on the racetrack in 11th and 12th, just a second adrift. So it's a straight fight between the mechanics. Genet away very quickly.
Yeah, good stop there. And interestingly, Giancarlo Fisichella rejoining after that very late first stop for him, broke up that Webber-Alonso battle. So once again, Alonso struggling with the traffic here this afternoon at Silverstone, and the team getting him into the pits in order to avoid any more problems with traffic. We're being told by race control that Gianmaria Bruni, we saw him making his pit stop a few minutes ago, had a drive-through penalty, so ignoring blue flags. So at the moment, on lap 27, Michael Schumacher leading by just 0.4 of a second from Raikkonen. Button's third, and Barrichello is fourth, closing on the leader. Lap 29 of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Kimi Raikkonen pits from second place. So too does Rubens Barrichello. Who's going to get out first? They were getting very, very close together. Looks like Raikkonen's away first. And they put almost identical amount of fuel into the car. But you can see what Martin was talking about before, about how Ferrari were trying to back the cars, to back Raikkonen into Barrichello. And after this second stop, they'll have to stop again here this afternoon. And I think that what Ferrari have in mind is that Raikkonen...
Look, this is for position, James. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's for position. Barrichello ahead of Jenson Button. So that he remains in third place. I wondered if Jenson he's made his second stop, hoped he could do something about Barrichello. It didn't work out.
No, it didn't work out. So he loses a position that he gained first round of stops. But as I was saying, I think Ferrari are hoping that Barrichello will get Raikkonen next time around if he doesn't get him on the racetrack first. So Kimi Raikkonen under serious pressure here from Ferrari. As on the racetrack, Alonso lines up Cristiano de Mata in a battle for 12th. We've seen a lot of Alonso this afternoon. That's what happens when you get a fast car out of position down the back of the field.
Well, what's odd is he keeps passing people, yet it seems to drop down the order somehow after that early stop. Alonso, really lots of action, but no sign of any points, as Raikkonen getting a little bit wider than he would want to have been there. He's done the fastest middle sector of anybody in the Grand Prix so far. He knows he's got to try and do something about Michael Schumacher. Schumacher then staying out at the moment on his longer fuel stop. We've got Montoya pitting from what is now fourth place. He passed Coulthard and Trulli in the last round of pit stops, and Ted is down there.
Well, the stop is going well so far. Now David Coulthard needs to pit. It's a decent stop for Montoya. Coulthard's going to make quite a lot of time. I'm not sure he can do it because McLaren are ready with his tyres, probably in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, Coulthard was about 6 seconds adrift, and you're watching there Raikkonen, and look at that. That's David Coulthard then, who's not yet pitted, and Barrichello behind him on fresh tyres. So that is, I wonder if Coulthard will come into play for Kimi Raikkonen, his teammate. We're definitely seeing a little bit of team riding this afternoon.
No love lost between the McLaren and Ferrari teams, certainly not between the people that run them. Ron Dennis and Jean Todt virtually spitting at each other every time they sit in the same room. There is Ron Dennis up on the pit wall. Is he using Coulthard here to just back Barrichello a little bit, because Barrichello certainly is putting Raikkonen's second place at risk here at Silverstone. So as you said, Martin, real team tactics at work, and well, all the drivers going absolutely flat out in the quest for glory. Raikkonen will be frustrated that he got stuck in the traffic after his first stop, otherwise he would have rejoined ahead of Michael Schumacher, and we'd be looking at a very different kind of Grand Prix as we ride on board with Jenson Button, currently in 6th place, but he has stopped twice. Some of the cars in front of him have not.
Coulthard pits then, so he won't be, in fact he did his fastest lap on the way in, his fastest sectors. There's Coulthard getting a clean visor. He has been in a lot of traffic this afternoon, and the summer flies and all the other rubbish you get on your windscreen on the road just goes straight out. Our windscreen is the visor of the helmet, and away then goes Coulthard. I would imagine he should just about keep position. We'll look out for Jarno Trulli when he makes his second stop.
And that was good news for Jenson Button, who we rejoin here, because Coulthard was one of the cars in front of him. So Button now up into 4th place. Schumacher leading on lap 31, 23 seconds ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, with Rubens Barrichello 5 seconds back from the McLaren now, and then Jenson Button in 4th place, just a second behind the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello. So Button and Barrichello really going at it this afternoon here, almost matching each other lap after lap for pace. And plenty of things to be contested here still in this Grand Prix. At the moment, if Michael Schumacher was to pit right now, he would rejoin behind Kimi Raikkonen. So he's still got some work to do to eke out that advantage.
It's not all over by a long way. Michael, though, of course, lapping faster now. Raikkonen's got been fueled up a little bit. He's about a second a lap faster as Michael Schumacher, and he knows he's got to keep the hammer down. Raikkonen has got a fast enough car. We've got a sick Minardi just gone past the commentary box window and looking like it's going to drop out of the Grand Prix. The other Minardi in the pits for a schedule.
Oh, got an accident there. He's gone with the fuel hose attached and he has stopped. And the other Minardi, meanwhile, looks like it's smoking as it was earlier on. That looks pretty terminal to me. But let's hope that the refueling mechanic down at Minardi is okay, because it looked to me as though there was real chaos down there and no clear signals given. The refueling man, it's difficult to tell whether he's all right or not, really, but the car has stopped and we'll bring you news from down there as soon as we have it.
Right, let's look at that. Truly yet to stop, but Montoya has stopped and appears to be coming up quite quickly behind him. Montoya with some sensible speed at this stage of the Grand Prix, but he lost out heavily in the early stages. And I don't think he'll be able to do too much more without some reliability issues amongst the top 3 or 4 runners.
I can say that again. He's 46 seconds behind the race leader, which is more or less where he was in France at the end of the Grand Prix. And here we are only just after half distance. So a lot of work to do. But of course, Michael Schumacher does have to stop again. So 20 odd seconds you can take away from that.
We have news from down at Minardi with McNish.
Yes, he came in, he pulled away a little bit early. The hose wasn't out, as you saw, but the refueler is okay. He's got a sore arm. The car is now back out on track.
Good news. Calling him McNish like he's still a driver. We always refer to the drivers, don't we, by their surnames, rather than Alan working with us this weekend as an ITV man.
Yes, indeed. Riding on board then with Montoya. Was quite scathing yesterday in his press briefing as Jarno Trulli pits from 9th place. Montoya saying that the aerodynamics department at Williams has stalled. That was the word he used. It's stalled. Certainly a lot of new stuff coming onto the car, but he says it's just not making it go any faster. He felt it was extremely sensitive to the high winds yesterday out on the track in qualifying. And, well, I suppose because he's heading for the outdoor at the end of this season, he feels he can say what he likes now, and he's describing a not a very pretty scene at Williams at the moment.
I know, and that he knows that would give them the most pain, because the team have really, mortgaged themselves up on wind tunnel facilities, haven't they? Probably got the best in Formula One. Maybe some of those facilities haven't put anything on the car yet, as they're recently up and running. But Montoya knows that would go straight into the soft underbelly, that comment.
Certainly would. Sam Michael, who took over very recently, the young Australian, as technical director, well, he'll be working very hard to rectify the situation, as David Coulthard, twice a winner here at Silverstone, runs a little bit wide, picks up a bit of mud on his tyres. It's the equivalent of soccer's chalk on your boots, I suppose.
He's got Sato. He's made his second stop down in 10th place. Coulthard with Sato chasing him, and Alonso doing nothing really about D'Amata. He's down now in 13th place. Young Fernando Alonso having a Grand Prix weekend to forget.
Certainly is, after his second place last weekend in Magny-Cours, where he arrived here after that saying, I feel great. But he doesn't feel quite so great here this afternoon. Fernando Alonso, 13th, despite having passed lots and lots of cars here this afternoon. It just isn't working out for him. Meanwhile, Mark Webber, with whom he was battling not long ago, going very strongly in the Jaguar in 7th place. So another good weekend for Jaguar off the back of their French Grand Prix, where they were very, very competitive, finishing within half a minute of the race winner, which is good by their standards, but didn't yield them a point. Can Webber get some points here this afternoon?
Look at Fisichella up there in 5th place, James, on a 2-stopper, doing 1:20.5, a great lap time. He's really flying this afternoon. He's going to get in there and embarrass a few people if he carries on that sort of pace. Lots of talk in the paddock at the moment that maybe Jarno Trulli has not and will not re-sign for Renault. Fisichella could go there. Obviously, we think Webber's going to Williams, and maybe there's a little upset, an unexpected bit of manoeuvring going on in the paddock for the 2005 season. Little surprise a few people.
Yes, you might be right. Certainly the comments of the Renault team after Trulli's mistake on the final lap at Magny-Cours, they said we don't tolerate mistakes very well here at Renault. Jarno took it on the chin, said it was the worst mistake in 22 years of racing, but it didn't go down well at Renault. They were looking for 2 men on the podium. They didn't get it on the day because Trulli fell asleep in the last corner and was picked by Rubens Barrichello, and maybe that's just unsettled things a little bit. Certainly Toyota is a possible destination for Jarno Trulli, we're being told. And you're right, could change the driver market quite a little bit. Here's Kimi Raikkonen pushing very, very hard. That last lap, he was 0.3 of a second faster than Michael Schumacher. And this, Martin, a pivotal point in the Grand Prix now, because Schumacher needs around about 23 seconds in his pocket to make a stop and rejoin ahead of Raikkonen. And they both have one more stop to make, don't they?
Well, we think so. Remember, Ferrari swerved around and did a 4-stopper. I wonder if they're doing the opposite this afternoon, James. I wonder if they've changed it and wrong-footed everybody again for a 2-stopper when we thought it was pretty much a standard 3 today. So we'll see how that unfolds. But Michael Schumacher's lead currently 25 seconds. Barrichello and Button have spread out a bit. Barrichello solidly in third now. Button with poor pace at this stage of the race. That's bad news.
Yeah, we've seen it before from the BAR team. They have flattered to deceive. I mean, let's not knock them too much. They've had 7 trophies out of the 10 Grand Prix so far, but not always putting the whole package together in a Grand Prix weekend. But they are a young team, and they are coming up very quickly. As Takuma Sato, teammate to Jenson Button, having a fairly low-key weekend by his standards, he comes in from 10th place. Lives in Marlow, Takuma Sato knows this place like the back of his hand as he came up through the British junior ranks. Took the decision that no other Japanese driver has ever taken to move to Europe and embed himself in British motor racing culture, figuring that was his best way to get himself into Formula One. It certainly worked, but here today, a bit of a quiet afternoon for Takuma.
Webber and Massa, 7th and 8th at the moment, on a different plan for their afternoon. And everybody said to me in the paddock, 3-stopper was an absolute no-brainer in terms of the race pace, but other drivers and teams making the 2 work pretty well at the moment. Most notably, as I say, Fisichella, who's currently up in the P5.
Well, it looked like a bit of a change of heart, really, by the Ferrari team. They brought Michael Schumacher in, having run him a little bit longer, but not much longer in the first stint than the McLaren. And they obviously decided to put the extra fuel in. They're ready now for a second stop for Michael Schumacher. This is lap 37. He's got 25.5 seconds in his pocket, and this is where Raikkonen really needs to get the hammer down. It's probably going to be enough to get him to rejoin. Another tear-off comes. That's always a sign a driver is getting ready for business. This is a very, very important part of the Grand Prix now, a very important moment. Ferrari can't afford any slips in this pit stop. Ted, take us through it.
The Ferrari boys get to work. Michael hits his marks perfectly. Are they changing the front wheels? Yes, they are. They have to on a 2-stop. It's quite a long stop. Remember, he's got to make this to the end of the race. Still fueling. And what's the time on that? That's a long stop. 9.5, but that is to the end of the race. Where does he come out?
And remember, with a heavy car, Raikkonen was faster when Michael was loaded up. You can see Raikkonen, I believe, in the background there. Schumacher will continue to lead this Grand Prix.
Almost a carbon copy of what happened at the first pit stop, and Raikkonen, just as he comes around Copse Corner, sees Schumacher emerging in front of him. So Schumacher maintains the lead of the Grand Prix. Kimi Raikkonen pushing very, very hard in second place. Barrichello third, Button fourth, Fisichella fifth, and Montoya is still sixth. Lap 40 of the 60-lap British Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher leads. Kimi Raikkonen is hassling him, but Raikkonen has another stop to make. So he's lost ground in the middle part of this Grand Prix. And with Schumacher making his second stop of the afternoon, it's brought him back into the clutches of Raikkonen, who has a much lighter car at this phase of the Grand Prix. And will we see him try and pass the man on the track? Certainly looks like he's shaping up for it.
Well, it's his only chance to, he's got to get in front of Michael and pull out an enormous advantage. Michael has just been solidly 3/4 of a second faster for 10 laps and made himself some space. And Raikkonen knows that his best chance is to give him a side swipe on the way past, frankly, because I don't think he's got the pace to do it. And now Michael's going to once again back Raikkonen into the pack if he's not careful. Barrichello just 2.5 seconds adrift in the second Ferrari. The crucial part of the Grand Prix then for Raikkonen to seize the chance to get past Michael Schumacher. Schumi just placing his car gently on the apexes, and worst case scenario then for Kimi Raikkonen. Let's see what the gap is this time. 3/10 between those two, but where's Barrichello? Now just 1.5 behind Kimi Raikkonen, and on the same strategy. I'm sure that there's a bit of team play going on here. Can't blame them, it's fair enough. Exactly what I'd want to do if I had this opportunity in front of me. Button has fallen away by 9 seconds from Barrichello, but his pace at least has now picked up.
Ferrari put the squeeze on Raikkonen with 20 laps to go in the British Grand Prix. The first 3 cars are separated by less than 2 seconds on the racetrack, and Ferrari really are putting... Oh, it's a big crash for Jarno Trulli. He's hit that tyre wall really hard. Looks like he's okay, but that was a huge crash.
I think he's dropped it on the exit of Bridge Corner by the looks of it, and yeah, and safety car standing by. And there is why, because clearly a lot of debris. I think we're now coming into that zone. It's an unusual camera shot. Yes, we are, with a wheel in the middle, and they've got to slow down. And yes, Jarno Trulli, safety car deployed. Safety car is out.
So will Raikkonen take the opportunity to come into the pits, I wonder? You can see the amount of debris. That's going to take a while to clear up, and McLaren will be thinking fast. It's happened at the perfect time for Raikkonen. Does he dive into the pits? Yes, he does. He's going to get a free pit stop here, and so does Barrichello. There's going to be a race to get them both out again, but this is a really interesting moment of the Grand Prix. Ted?
This is great, and Williams are out as well. Everyone taking advantage of this safety car period. Raikkonen hits his marks. This is the final stop that he needs to get him through to the end, and perhaps, we hope, challenge Michael Schumacher. The fuel goes in. Jenson Button pitting as well. Let me tell you, Jenson was unhappy with his last set of tyres. That's why he was dropping off.
And Raikkonen out in front, crucially just of Barrichello. And all the advantage Michael Schumacher built up has now been wasted. But he has got track position. There will be back markers between them on the restart, I would imagine. But that has definitely neutralised the race, James.
Yeah, it's very interesting though, because some of the cars who you would expect to stay out, the two stoppers like Fisichella, also made their pit stops. So we will see where everybody is when they come back out on the racetrack, what the order will be for the restart, but that could have worked out super well for Kimi Raikkonen and Rubens Barrichello. And that's a stroke of luck possibly for Raikkonen, just as he was coming under the most intense pressure from the Ferrari team.
You see, it's like a free pit stop, because the safety car obviously is quite slow, so you're making your pit stop, and all you're really doing is losing a bit of... You go further down the snake, further down the queue, but you rejoin immediately, and as I say, effectively, a zero-cost pit stop. Michael Schumacher leading then. We'll be back shortly.
Lap 43 of the 60-lap British Grand Prix. We are behind a safety car due to an enormous accident for Jarno Trulli. He's okay and has jumped out of the car, but you can see the track workers clearing it away. And here's a look at what happened.
He dropped it on the exit of Bridge. He was well through the corner, and then rolls over the rollover bar, digs into the gravel trap. He was walking away after this incident. We know he's okay. This is a replay. Jarno Trulli then with a sizable accident on the exit of the terrifying Bridge Corner. But the cars are so good now, they've been taking that full throttle quite comfortably. I asked Mark Webber yesterday when he was doing our lap guide, you know, is it easily full throttle? He said, yeah, even on used tyres we can get it just through full. So was it a technical problem there, structural problem with Trulli's car? It's unusual to see a driver lose it quite so quickly. Normally they would be darting around a bit before they spun off. But this is going to be fascinating, James. It's exactly the sort of situation that Michael Schumacher doesn't need. The Bridgestone tyre, we saw at the beginning of the Grand Prix how fast Raikkonen was when the tyres are cold, or much colder than they normally run. And there are two back markers between them, Klein and D'Amata, and they should both get straight out of Raikkonen's way. They've been lapped, they should get the blue flag. Raikkonen's got a chance.
He certainly has. They are all fueled to the finish. No one has to make any more stops. 17 laps to go here. Plenty can happen in those 17 laps, and we saw Kimi Raikkonen be super fast in the opening stint of this Grand Prix. He was unlucky to lose out to Michael Schumacher in the pit stops, largely through traffic, but here he has a chance at redemption, a chance to give McLaren a victory that would really give them such a boost. He's very strong here this afternoon. He's been under a lot of pressure from both Ferraris. It gives a second chance to Jenson Button as well, who'd been losing ground in the middle part of the Grand Prix. He is now in 4th place, right up behind Rubens Barrichello. He too is on those Michelin tyres that will possibly be able to attack Barrichello in the early part of the restart. A lot of thinking to do then for Ross Brawn, the man born in Manchester and who steered Benetton to 2 world titles in the mid-1990s and has been behind all but 3 of Michael Schumacher's 79 Grand Prix victories. And there's not much he can do now because the cars are fueled to the finish. And it's up to the drivers now. There's his adversary, Adrian Newey, technical director of McLaren. Terrific scrap here between 2 top teams, and Ted has news for us.
Just checked out the situation at Renault. You won't be surprised to hear that Jarno Trulli chose not to discuss the incident on the radio after that crash, wanted to get straight out of that wrecked chassis. The team have had to assure Fernando Alonso that Jarno is okay. Fernando wanted to know. There's also no indication on the telemetry that anything broke. But guys, remember that the G-forces around here at Silverstone, now the lap times have tumbled. The G-forces have gone up correspondingly. 6G Jenson Button was recorded as doing in practice, so maybe that's had some kind of effect on the Renault.
Yes, indeed. It is an important thing, really. If it was structural, then they've got to think about Alonso. But did Trulli touch anybody early in the race that can often give you a hairline fracture or something? But whatever, the safety car is coming in on this lap, and it's all about now who's Raikkonen desperately needs D'Amata and Klein to be right up behind Michael Schumacher. Raikkonen in 4th place there. It's a net second. There are 2 back markers in front of him if he's going to have a good run at Michael Schumacher.
Remember, you're not allowed to pass before the start-finish line. As you say, Raikkonen really needs that Toyota and that Jaguar to play ball. A lot of the helicopters you can see there. It's always still one of the busiest airports in the world on race day, Silverstone. Helicopters coming in and out, ferrying individuals and corporate guests, and they are all, like the rest of us, on the edge of their seats as Schumacher gets ready to drop the hammer on the restart with only 16 laps to go here at Silverstone. And hold on to your hats, because this is going to be fun.
The Abbey chicane coming up then, and Kimi's got to be just trying to get as much temperature as he can. It does nearly nothing, unfortunately, there. You've got a little more than the weight of the car. There's no downforce at this speed, but he's got to be right there, and he's got to hope these back markers realise they should get straight out of the way. And Michael backing the pack up. I'd be gone if I was him.
Certainly would. Christian Klein is the man right in front of Raikkonen. He's letting him go at the moment. Raikkonen's obviously going to try and build up some momentum through the final sequence of corners. Schumacher being told on the radio what Raikkonen's up to. He's thinking it's like pursuit cycling this. When do I go? When do I go? When do I drop the hammer? How much are those 2 cars between us going to help me? Now Schumacher starts to pick up the pace, does he? The safety car peels in, and Raikkonen is monstering the back of Klein. Hopefully Klein will get out of his way, and D'Amata as well. And we're restarted here at Silverstone, and Schumacher's flying, and look already at Raikkonen. He's going to try and get Klein into Kopp's corner. He doesn't get him into Kopp's corner, but Klein's got to get out of his way.
He has, but I just don't understand why they were leaving such big gaps. They should have been almost nerfing them through that left field corner, and it's given Michael a bit of a run. But Raikkonen's car, I'm sure, will be much faster at this stage of the Grand Prix, and that Toyota is obliged to get straight out of the way. It's a lapped car. Kimi deciding to use a little bit of his slipstream down the straight though, and now it's a direct 1-2 for Michael Schumacher and Kimi Raikkonen. Button was having a good look at Barrichello too. There they are, they're 3rd and 4th, and Montoya looking good in 5th too.
Schumacher leads then, Raikkonen 2nd, Barrichello 3rd, Button 4th, Montoya 5th. Fisichella still in 6th place. We ride on board with Jenson Button from Great Britain. He's looking at the back of the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello, and I saw a gesture there from Kimi Raikkonen as he went past D'Amata down the main straight, which was fairly obscene, and I think indicated he felt, as you did, Martin, that the Toyota should have been much closer to the back of the Ferrari to help him out there. People diving out of the way. There gets Klein out of the way of Button. This is a terrific scrap here, and now Raikkonen is right with Michael Schumacher. He's got the advantage at the moment. The Michelin tyres holding on better. Can he pass Michael Schumacher for the lead of the British Grand Prix? Just 14 to go as they cross the start-finish line.
And there's been a clear pattern all weekend. The Ferrari is quick through the fast stuff at the beginning of the lap, and the McLaren much quicker through the middle and end section. But this is where the overtaking's done, I'm afraid, down into Stowe mostly, and Raikkonen, crucially, cannot quite stay close enough to Michael Schumacher. Too much understeer in the turbulent air, and look at the gap he pulls out, and I think he'll haul him back in as the lap unfolds.
Now Barrichello tucks up behind the Toyota. D'Amata gets a little bit of a toe down the straight. D'Amata nips in behind him, and Button has got to get round the Toyota as well now. And he will dive out of the way. He is a lapped traffic. Cristiano De Mata running in 13th place, and well, he won't have enjoyed that experience.
And Montoya follows Button through as well, so Button, from threatening Barrichello, suddenly has to be all in his mirrors. There you go, Button and Montoya, who's done a very solid job through this Grand Prix. David Coulthard is down in 7th. I don't know if he's anywhere near Fisichella, 6th place man, but this is what it's all about at the front. And somewhat surprisingly for me, Kimi's not as close as I thought he'd be in this final part of the lap. Look how much quicker he is, though, through the apex of those slow corners.
He certainly is. He's terrific in the slow corners, this is the new McLaren. On that last lap, Martin, he was a second and a half faster than Michael Schumacher. Just shows you how much pain he took trying to get past those two cars at the restart. Without that, he might well be in a position to attack.
Yeah, the moment was there, you're right, James, and you know, when you see a replay, you just wonder why they're not. And Barrichello was a full sort of 100 metres behind Raikkonen. He should be just hustling them all the way, but the trouble is, the part of the racetrack where the overtaking's done, and not those slow corners at the end where Raikkonen's faster.
Down the straight they go then, with 13 laps still remaining in this British Grand Prix. It's been, well, Grand Prix racing at its very finest, you have to say. Terrific amount of overtaking, some interesting strategy, a safety car bunching them all back up again, and, well, and a real attacking drive by Kimi Raikkonen. Is it all too late now? Michael Schumacher seems to have rediscovered his rhythm. His tyres are now in harmony with his car and this chilly Silverstone racetrack. And he is pushing very, very hard. That moment, that lap, Raikkonen's car a second and a half faster than Schumacher's. What might have happened if he didn't have to pass those two cars the lap before, hey? Well, we'll never know, but can he attack in the remaining 13 laps? Great three-car scrap going on for the final points-paying position here this afternoon between Webber, Massa and Alonso. Those three absolutely nose-to-tail for the final single point for 8th place.
Michael Schumacher's lead exactly 1 second then. Barrichello is 2.5 seconds further behind Raikkonen. Button keeping him honest, to say the least, and an enormous fight going on down the field. Montoya, Fisichella, Coulthard 7th, Webber 8th, Massa 9th, Sato 10th in the second BAR. Genet 11th. Alonso has stopped somewhere. Alonso in the second Renault has stopped in the first sector, James.
Yeah, from 10th place, that moves Takuma Sato up into 10th place. There goes Juan Montoya through your screens. Williams announcing this weekend that HP, their main sponsor, renewing their sponsorship for a multi-year period. So that's a big cash injection for Sir Frank Williams' team. And that'll be a big sigh of relief for them, because those big sponsors, they really do need to be kept hold of. You don't want them walking away from your team, especially the budgets that these guys run nowadays. You can see, though, Michael Schumacher now over a second clear of Kimi Raikkonen, and Alan McNish down in the pit lane has some news for us on there. That awful shunt involving Jarno Trulli.
Well, I'm very pleased to say that Jarno's okay. He's in the medical centre, but it's just a precautionary checkup. He had a bit of a bang, but everything looks fine.
Very good news indeed. Let's see what the gap is this time. I really thought Raikkonen would be a lot closer to Michael. It's up to 1.4 seconds. He's losing about 4/10 a lap. And yellow flags out. I suspect that's for Fernando. No, it's not. Alonso stopped out there somewhere, but that is Pantano in the Jordan, and he's bellied out on the gravel trap car. That's, again, he's turned in with his right rear wheel, not just touching the grass, but on the grass. Strange.
Yep, second spin of the afternoon for Giorgio Pantano. Was with his teammate, though, up to that point. Nick Heidfeld keeping him honest, as he has the last few Grand Prix. Giorgio Pantano picking his pace up. And here we ride on board with a man who we were told a minute ago by the computer had stopped. Fernando Alonso now attacking Cristiano De Mata. So that information was sent through to us by the computer. Was it obviously incorrect, because he is still going in 12th place?
What happens is the sensors tend to miss a car for a couple of points on the racetrack, and then it sort of times out and gives you a stop on the screen to say that the driver's stopped out on the track. Quite clearly Alonso has not, and he's not being recorded still. He's not being recorded for sector times, but they're clearly getting him at the end of each lap. What is that?
That's something you don't want to hit at 150 miles an hour is what it is. It's JCB Digger removing the car of Giorgio Pantano, I imagine, but wow. Well, there are yellow flags down there, so the drivers are supposed to slow down, but well, all of the front runners setting a low 1 minute 20, so no one's slowing down really for that one.
No. double waved yellows with JCB on the track. They certainly should not be doing the sort of lap times they are. But I know what it's like in the middle of that pack. You lift off and you play the good guy, and you just lose out heavily by it, unfortunately.
Sato and Clean. Clean's doing well. He seems to have picked the pace up a little bit. Now he's got Montoya as well in 5th place, going strongly. He's picking the pace up too. Giancarlo Fisichella just a second behind him now, and going a little bit faster. So Fisichella hasn't finished yet this afternoon either. 10 laps to go here at Silverstone. Schumacher leading Raikkonen by 1.5 seconds. Rubens Barrichello is 2.5 seconds behind the McLaren, with Jenson Button 1.5 behind the second Ferrari. Closing stages of the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. James Allen and Martin Brundle with you. It's been a terrific British Grand Prix once again, with just 8 laps to go here at Silverstone. Kimi Raikkonen led early on, had a big early lead from Rubens Barrichello, Jenson Button and Michael Schumacher in 4th place. Is that Schumacher going slowly? No, it's just Schumacher going through the complex. At the moment, he is 2.1 seconds ahead of Kimi Raikkonen in 2nd place. Rubens Barrichello is a couple of seconds back from Raikkonen, and Button is 4th at the moment, a couple of seconds back as well, with Montoya and Fisichella now going faster and starting to creep up into the action. The story of the race, really, Michael Schumacher running a longer first stint than the rest of them, managed to jump Kimi Raikkonen and everybody else at the start to take the lead, ran a very long second stint. But then a big accident involving Jarno Trulli on lap 41 jumbled things up as the safety car came out. It gave Raikkonen, Barrichello and Button all a free pit stop, and it really put tremendous pressure on Michael Schumacher at a time when he was really putting the squeeze on Kimi Raikkonen. Turned the whole Grand Prix around, but it didn't change the lead. And critically for Raikkonen, the story of his afternoon is one of traffic. It was traffic around the first pit stops, and it was traffic at the restart. 2 lapped cars in his way, and when he had a faster car than Michael Schumacher in the period immediately after that restart on lap 42, he couldn't use it, and Schumacher was able to maintain his lead. Down the field, it's been a good race for Giancarlo Fisichella and Sauber. They've been very strong here this afternoon, running in 6th place. David Coulthard in the 2nd McLaren is 7th, and Mark Webber in the Jaguar is looking to get some more points for his team, with Felipe Massa now closing in on the back of him as well. We're riding on board with Fernando Alonso, who's had a very eventful afternoon, starting at the back of the grid. He's been yo-yoing up and down the field, and he's still, after all that effort, in 10th place.
Yes, he's fighting tooth and nail with Massa for 9th, and even if he takes it, there won't be a World Championship point at this time. But he's only then a second behind Mark Webber, you can see in the distance there. So there is a sniff of a World Championship point there for Fernando Alonso. Looking back at him now from Massa's Sauber, and it's been kind of curious. They all got bunched up under the safety car. We were ready for the scrap of all scraps, and they've just gently spread out, haven't they? Almost like a test day. Very strange. Michael just got way too much pace for this man, Kimi Raikkonen, who's got 1.7 seconds on Barrichello. Barrichello surely with a half a chance to have a look at him. Montoya can't stay with Button either. Button a little bit lonely now in 4th place. Fisichella doing an astonishing job there in 6th. That was not Fisichella, that particular one.
Certainly is, and don't forget there is still a second Williams seat available. It now seems virtually certain that Mark Webber is going to replace Juan Montoya next season at Williams, but there's still one other seat available. Ralf Schumacher having been confirmed in the past week, moving to Toyota on a 3-year contract starting next year. Schumacher obviously in hospital still at the moment with the damaged vertebrae. And Fisichella really, Martin, apart from driving for points and for Sauber here, is driving for his future as well.
I think he is, and he's not doing a bad job with it either, as he's keeping Montoya very honest and searching for 5th place. Ted has further news for us.
Yeah, down at BAR, let's just get a story of Jenson Button's race with the BAR technical director. Jeff, how's it gone? Oh, he's talking on the radio apparently. Oh, he's finished. Okay, how's it gone?
Reasonably well. I mean, it's certainly quite a struggle against the Ferraris. We haven't got the pace, and Raikkonen's seems to be as quick as he was in qualifying, but with no problems at the moment.
Seems to be a bit of a Bridgestone circuit. It's a bit of a Bridgestone circuit. You look at where Fisichella is.
We were certainly expecting the Ferraris to be very strong here, but maybe McLaren's a bit stronger than we expected.
Were Jenson's tyres going off towards the beginning of his runs?
He wasn't very happy in his 3rd stint. We'll talk to him after the race.
Thanks, Jeff.
Button then in a solid 4th place. Fisichella, the main scrap really in the top few. Is Giancarlo Fisichella beginning to home further and further in to Juan Pablo Montoya for 5th place, and a great camera angle there of Jenson Button in his office.
Yeah, you see the dirt just above the visor over the course of an hour and 22 minutes of flat-out Formula One racing, bits of oil, bits of debris and dirt and rubber, all kinds of stuff flying up and hitting him on the helmet. The helmet actually rather reminiscent of yours, isn't it, Martin? Similar sort of design, actually.
Yeah, he's changed it. I think he was going to use that at the French Grand Prix, wasn't he, for an anticipated English football match somewhere that didn't take place, and he elected to use it here. I have to say, I think his normal colour scheme is a nicer one.
Certainly stands out better. Jeff Willis there, Ted was talking to, sounding surprised at the pace of McLaren this weekend. He's not the only one. Michael Schumacher saying yesterday after qualifying, genuinely surprised at how fast McLaren were here. They were hoping that they were running a lot lighter than them. And in the event, Raikkonen wasn't running lighter than Barrichello. He did 2 more laps in the first stint. So McLaren really do seem to have turned things around. They will not be all that disappointed, I think, to finish at the moment 3.8 seconds behind Michael Schumacher's Ferrari and to be ahead of the other Ferrari. Given where they were in the first 8 races of this year, that is a tremendous result for McLaren.
We've had some lovely camera angles today. I love those low ground shots as well. ITV, the host broadcasters here. Thank you to that team for putting on some great action on our TV screens this afternoon as we go to Bridge Corner. This is a little lift there for Jenson, so maybe it's slippery in there. That is where we saw truly just obliterate his car against the wall before it went into a somersault earlier in the race and caused the safety car moment. Luffield then, a frustrating corner that nobody really likes, and then the track just really opens up and beckons you to give it full throttle. Copse corner, just a slight flick down 1 gear and straight on the paragon. It's so narrow on the exit. You've got a much higher vision point here than Jenson from this particular camera, and the gently slowing but very high speed, as it were, corner of Beckers. And look at Barrichello then now beginning to get closer and closer to Raikkonen. There's Jenson Button in 4th place, Montoya and the ever-present Fisichella 5th and 6th.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The race pace, the rhythm, if you like, that the Ferraris are able to maintain lap after lap. We've seen it all season, is higher and better than anybody else can do. But here at Silverstone this afternoon, Michael Schumacher had the speed when he needed it. He was able to pull out a second or 2 on Kimi Raikkonen at critical moments in the race, which made the difference. But you have to say that McLaren has been very consistently fast in the hands of Raikkonen here this afternoon. Just at the moment in this Grand Prix, though, the Ferrari of Schumacher pulling out about 0.4 of a second a lap, and that's a lot to do with the performance of the Bridgestone tyre, which has just been so super consistent here. We're right on board there with Alonso down in 10th place as Schumacher goes through. Just 2 more laps to go then in this 192-mile Grand Prix. It's been pretty arduous for the drivers, lots of G-forces on the body, but they've loved, I'm sure, every second of it, because this is one of the favourite tracks of all of these Grand Prix drivers. They love the fast stuff here.
Well, Barrichello stole 3rd place on the last lap of the French Grand Prix just 7 days ago. Is he going to try and do the same place this weekend with Kimi Raikkonen? We know how good the Ferrari is in the first few corners and down Hangar Straight. If he gets anywhere near him, surely he's got a good chance. So we're really homing in. Raikkonen under pressure from Rubens Barrichello. This is the main race now towards the end. Fisichella can't seem to do anything about 5th place man Montoya. The rest of them relatively stationary. Alonso still fighting Massa for that 9th place.
Well, Ferrari really tried to put the squeeze on Raikkonen with a strategy. Schumacher backed him up into Barrichello to try and give him a chance to take second off him. And that was the moment at which Trulli had his accident, and that really was a get-out-of-jail-free card for Raikkonen at that point in the Grand Prix. But now he seems to be struggling a little bit on the tyres at the end of this race. And with only 1 lap to go, is Barrichello going to jump him? And some more news from Alan McNish.
Yes, Jarno Trulli thinks that maybe the left rear suspension failed coming through Bridge, and that was the reason for going off. But the team, they're checking the data just to verify everything before confirming it.
Yeah, it certainly looked like that, didn't it? He had the accident after the corner, really. And normally if you're going to lose it with a balance problem, the car just sliding, you can fight it all the way to Priory. And that one just snapped on him and put him straight in the wall. Barrichello not close enough for a look there at second pace man Raikkonen.
This is the last lap then of the British Grand Prix. The top 4 runners are separated by 10 seconds here at Silverstone. Michael Schumacher has just a few more corners to go before he wins his 10th Grand Prix in 11 races. And that's only one short, Martin, of his own record that he set back in 2002 of 11 wins in a season. How many is he going to end up with at the end of this season?
And the one he dropped out of was because of a crazy incident in the tunnel of Monaco, wasn't it? So I don't think he was going to win that race that day, mind you. Jarno truly had the measure of him at the Monaco Grand Prix, but Michael was still strong for second or third there, so just about the perfect season for the reigning world champion.
Absolutely, it was another story of thinking on your feet and being quick when the moment counted for Michael Schumacher. He didn't have a great qualifying yesterday, but he's had a great race today. He takes his 80th career victory, his third win at Silverstone, and what a tremendous drive by Michael Schumacher, but what a tremendous drive also by Kimi Raikkonen out of the final corner. There you can see the VAR. Raikkonen's already crossed the finish line in second place, Barrichello third, Button fourth, Montoya fifth, Fisichella in sixth place, seventh David Coulthard, and the final points paying position for Mark Webber. But a tremendous drive, and what a performance by Kimi Raikkonen. He really took the fight to Ferrari here this afternoon, and not too many people would have put money on that a couple of weeks ago.
No, I wondered if he had enough pace though to take it, James. He'd been fastest in just about every session through the weekend, put it on pole with a great lap, but he thought, right, okay, Raikkonen has got a chance to beat Michael Schumacher today. The Bridgestones did seem stronger than the Michelins. Michael enjoying those Bridgestones, but Raikkonen, I think, certainly made the best of what he'd got.
So quite a few contenders for the driver of the day today, Martin. Michael Schumacher, obviously nimble when it mattered. Raikkonen, tremendously feisty drive here. Jenson Button on home soil. Montoya made a good recovery after a bad start. Fisichella back of the grid again, up into sixth place in the Sauber. Who's your choice?
Easy, Fisichella. He hasn't got a car out there that would remotely match Michael Schumacher's. He may have last year's Ferrari just about, but nowhere near as good as this car, and the team do not have the resources. I think he's put in the best performance of the day without doubt. Great run for him. I think it's just the raw pace he showed through the Grand Prix that impressed me as much as his ultimate sixth place.
Yep, just 12 seconds behind the race winner. Bear in mind though, we did have a safety car which bunched the field up on lap 42, and that's why the field looks as close as it does at the end of the Grand Prix. Perhaps wouldn't have been quite the same without that, but nevertheless it offered a final chance to Kimi Raikkonen, and as we saw, he wasn't able to take it through reasons beyond his control really. He had a second and a half faster car just after that restart, but two cars got in his way and he wasn't able to use it. So Michael Schumacher wins again, and Ross Brawn, technical director at Ferrari, and Jean Todt, the sporting director, a clasp, shakes hands with the Bridgestone engineers. He loves winning, Ross, and he really loves coming to England with a foreign team, an Italian team, and beating the English teams on their home soil. It gives him more pleasure than just about anything else in his racing, he says.
Yeah, but he's a true Brit at the end of the day, Ross. Just his role and his job is, and what he gets paid to do, is to help Ferrari win races, which he seems pretty handy at, doesn't he? But they're going to be made up with themselves, actually, because they surprised everybody last weekend at the French Grand Prix with 4 pit stops. Really went and destabilised the rest of the pack. And I think they've really done the same this weekend, James, but they've gone for 2 instead of 3. So they're like a bar of soap in the bath. You don't quite know where they are, and you can't quite get hold of them, the Ferrari team, in terms of their strategy. And it's paid off again this afternoon.
So the ton up in terms of World Championship points for Michael Schumacher, 100 already. And we've only just got into the second half of the season. There you can see how close behind at the end Raikkonen and Rubens Barrichello were. Barrichello unable to nick that second place off Raikkonen. And I just think Kimi will be very happy today, because he and McLaren are definitely back in business. But the traditional Ferrari salute, as I say, a real mixture of support in the grandstands here this afternoon. Typical British sporting response to all the players here, as they've all put on a super show for us.
Yes, when we had Meet the Team last week with Ferrari, it was really interesting to hear several of them say, yeah, even still now when we win a race, there's a buzz, a brilliant feeling in the factory. Everybody's walking on air, and they're still appreciative of their victory. You think they'd be a bit blasé by now. Maybe they'd be thinking, well, 1-3, we'd really like a 1-2. But Barrichello, I think another solid run, but didn't really deliver his qualifying speed, did he? But now we know why, to a certain extent. Michael Schumacher was carrying quite a bit more fuel.
Started in front of Schumacher on the... Gets the hug. These two are very close. I asked Ross the other day what the core of their relationship is. What's the dynamic? And he said trust backed up with an easygoing friendship. And I think that's there for all to see. He trusts Michael to deliver. It's a difficult job driving a racing car, and he knows that when he asks him to do things, it's not easy for Michael to do. And Schumacher trusts implicitly what Brawn tells him to do over the radio. He never ever questions a decision by Brawn, and why should he? Because what a winning formula it is.
Yes, they took the win today. It wasn't easy for them. It wasn't handed to them completely on a plate. Slightly on their back foot with that safety car. Raikkonen then just 2.1 seconds adrift. But you have to say, James, without the safety car, Michael would have won this race by 10-15 seconds at least.
Certainly would. But what a dramatic finish it gave us to the Grand Prix. A few faces down there that come only once a year. People with Italian connections, Ferrari connections that help out down in the pits. Any opportunity to get a red shirt on and get a pit pass. And they're the two of the finest drivers in Formula One at the moment. I know Ferrari have a very high regard for Kimi Raikkonen anyway. They certainly would love to line him up as the successor to Michael Schumacher. Only time will tell how long Schumacher carries on for and who does replace him, but they will go for Raikkonen, that's for sure, because they think he's something special, as he's proved here again this afternoon.
Let's come out onto the roster.
Yes, Raikkonen had 56 points last year at this stage. As of today, he's got 18. But that's taken a pretty massive leap, hasn't it, by 8 points just in one afternoon.
Only the third time that Schumacher has won the British Grand Prix. It's not been one of his golden tracks. You could almost describe it as a bogey circuit for him. But today, he's put the hoodoo well and truly behind him.
German, a Finn and a Brazilian. The crowd were hoping for an Englishman up there or a Scotsman this afternoon, but 4th and 7th for Button and Coulthard. Still a pretty big chair for Michael Schumacher.
I thought it was for John Prescott. Beautiful trophy then, third time he's had that one. Ross Brawn hoists the constructors. Foster's the sponsor of the event there, managing director handing him the trophy. 15th podium in the short career of Kimi Raikkonen. Could have been a lot more if McLaren's car had gone well at the start of this season as he expected it to. But now he seems to have a weapon with which to attack Ferrari in the second half of this season, shaping up very well. Another good drive at Silverstone by Rubens, but I think he'll be disappointed to have started in front of Schumacher once again and to have finished behind him.
Yes. Whatever he says, I think at the end of the day, Michael's driven a bit faster and had a better strategy than him, so
He made it count. And somehow Rubens has got to be first Ferrari home pretty soon.
Well, 100 points up then for Michael Schumacher in the season. All nice round numbers. And the 100,000 crowd here today at Silverstone have really lapped it up.
I've got another nice round number for you, James. Win number 80 of Michael Schumacher's career. A hat-trick at Silverstone. The 2004 vintage, far more straightforward than the others in 98 and 2002. Rubens Barrichello pushing Jenson Button off the podium. Kimi Raikkonen's first podium since the Japanese Grand Prix at the end of last season. That is excellent for McLaren. We'll be right back with Tony Jardine and Mark Blundell, and we'll be talking to all those drivers as well about the British Grand Prix. Back with us at Silverstone, time to go home for 100,000 people capacity crowd here. They all got in okay, and let's hope they're all leaving safely as well. And I believe we can go straight to the press conference.
Masters British Grand Prix. To Rubens Barrichello, third for Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro. To Kimi Raikkonen, second for West McLaren Mercedes. And to Michael Schumacher, winning his career 80th Grand Prix victory, his 10th win of the year for Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro. Michael, a big smile on your face. A great victory, two-stop strategy this time, to the three of most of your closest opposition.
Yeah, obviously I was amazed about how the race went. I thought we had a very good option and strategy for the race, but that it would pay out so early, leading the race so early, basically after my first pit stop, coming in front of and ahead of everybody, that was not the plan, honestly. But my car was just going so well in these last laps when I had free track, and I was able to close the margin I had on Kimi, which he pulled out in his first 11 laps, and that was just phenomenal. And after this, it was just controlling it. Lucky, obviously, with the strategy I had, that Kimi was behind me. I could control that. He was tight in a couple of areas, but not too tight. And very interesting, obviously.
Well, of course, what you could not predict was the safety car coming out about 20 laps from the end, and then it was gloves off, racing to the finish.
Yeah, obviously that sort of took away my comfortable lead I had built up by that stage, and I was probably lucky that I had two other drivers between me and Kimi, because the warm-up performance of Kimi's tyres and my tyres was noticeably different, and had he been directly behind me, thanks to the safety car who was going very, very slow around, didn't look to put any effort in his drive, we had very cold tyres, and that didn't really help me for the first couple of laps. Then Kimi came close. We had a nice little fight for a couple of laps, and my tyres came back, and I was able to open again the lead.
It was pretty close, but both you and Rubens have been saying all weekend how good the car's been, particularly on fast corners here. Is that where you had the advantage over Kimi towards the end?
Looking at it, Kimi seemed to be very good in the infield, in the last sector in particular. But saying that, obviously we were on different strategies. He was a lot lighter while he was behind me. It's difficult for me to predict how really the situation was, but we had the best package, obviously, for the whole circuit.
Indeed, congratulations. Kimi, what a start. Take us through that start and those early laps.
It was good. The start was very good. I got enough heat on the tyres and got good start on the first place, and I just tried to went as quick as I could, and I think so after the first lap was quite a big gap already. I kept pushing all the time, but then I was a bit unlucky with the traffic. I stuck behind like 2 Minardis after the first pit stop, and it just cost me way too much time. Every time when I came out with the new tyres, I always stuck behind someone, but that's racing, and at least we got the second place in that.
Indeed, your first podium since Suzuka last year. But from the safety car onwards, you were very close to Michael within a couple of laps of the car going in, and then Michael started to pull away again.
Yeah, I think so. The last set of tyres, I had a little bit more difficulties with the rear end than any other set. So, like Michael said, I was hoping that I could get past the two lapped cars very quickly, because I knew with the new tyres I can really challenge him. But I got close to him, but not past him. So I think so in the end, for me and the team, for Mercedes, for everybody, it's good results, because after the really difficult start of the season, we finally got things going the right way and got back on the right track, and we got some results, and now it's only the second race for the car, so hopefully we can improve it.
Indeed, congratulations. Rubens, maintaining your record, the only man to score points in every race so far this season. A lot of racing with Jenson Button there, got the better of him in the pit stops, and then nearly caught Kimi at the end.
Yeah, but I had a quite a good race, but a tough one. I think, you know, after the start it was quite clearly that they had this warming up a bit better than us, and it was really difficult to follow Kimi for the first 3 laps. So therefore we lost a little bit of time, and it was difficult to catch him up. I was catching slightly, open up on Jason, but then when I came to the first pit stop, I went out a little bit heavy and in the middle of the traffic, and the car wasn't working very well. That's the part of the race that really cost me more points, really, and maybe the victory. After all, it was quite clearly that Michael on a 2-stop, he was doing a superb job and he was going to win. So when I saw the safety car, then everything was alive again. But unfortunately, again, I had too much problems on the first 2 laps warming up again, and then cost me again a bit of a time.
Did you get close enough to Kimi right at the end to have a go at him?
No, I think the pace was too high to try to have a go. I was thinking that the public was thinking that I could really do it because of last week, the final moment. But it's I had to be a little bit faster to try to do anything. I was faster than him on the sector 1 through Beckett and everything, but he was faster to sector 3 in the infield, so it was difficult to make it.
Michael, what a season this is turning out to be. I know there's a long way to go, but can we just reflect a little on your thoughts on this victory, how things are just going so well for you, how good the car is, and actually this is the first time you've ever won a race, a Formula 1 race, from 4th on the grid, for what that's worth.
Yeah, it doesn't mean a lot in a way. We obviously sacrificed qualifying for the race strategy in a way, and it just paid out, and it's in a way it's unbelievable what happens to me this year, to the team, but I think it just pays back for all the hard work everybody has done in the factory. We never have let off in a way. We learned our lesson from last year when maybe we took it a little bit too easy at some stage, and we just at the right time came back, and because everybody felt the pain of this, nobody really wanted to be back in this pain, and everybody since then has kept pushing and has a high motivation. I see every time I go for test with the test team, those guys that just work flat out all the time, and you see how hungry they're still. Each one sort of pushes the other one, and it's just an ongoing thing. I'm just so proud and delighted to be in the team and be able to live in that phase of Ferrari.
The pain did last over 20 years after Jody Scheckter won that title back in the late 70s. Michael Schumacher, 10 out of 10. Then Kimi Raikkonen on the podium. That's excellent for the young Finn and a big boost for McLaren. We'll hear from Ron Dennis in just a moment. Rubens Barrichello, a dozen successive finishes for the Brazilian, and the majority of those on the podium as well. Jenson Button pushed down to 4th place. Montoya 5th in the Williams, on his way to McLaren next season. Fisichella, surely driver of the day, pushed down to the back of the grid after that Sauber had to change an engine, and finishing 6th. David Coulthard, a couple of points for DC in his home Grand Prix, and Mark Webber, Jaguar, our featured team of the weekend, his 4th of the season, and Jaguars as well. Ton up, as James has said, for Michael Schumacher. Rubens Barrichello 26 points behind on 74. Jenson Button will have to go some to break those Ferraris now. Still 3rd though on 53. Trulli, unfortunate. We'll have another look at his crash very shortly. Still on 46. Alonso 33. Montoya pushing up on the Spaniard there. He has 29. Raikkonen improving to 18. And Sato and David Coulthard both on 14 points. 174 first, 79 second, enough said. BAR on 67, cementing their place in 3rd. Williams and McLaren, that could still be a lively scrap for 4th place, and Sauber might just push on and get involved as well. Toyota 8 points, Jordan have 5, Jaguar have 4, and Minardi Just that single point scored by Baumgartner at Indianapolis. A lot of pain felt this season by McLaren and by Ron Dennis. He has taken it all on the chin, and now he's got a man on the podium at his home Grand Prix. Let's hear from Ron Dennis.
Well, Ron, remember the beginning of the season, Kimi could hardly finish a race for love or money. Now a great position at your home race.
Yeah, we've sort of turned things up a little bit. I think it's obviously a step in the right direction. I'm looking forward to Hockenheim. We've got another step there. Maybe we can take the race to Michael, and just to win some races before the end of the season would be great. But we'll enjoy the second place, but it is the first of the losers, and we're here to win. So we'll work hard between now and Hockenheim.
Yeah, Hockenheim should be better for the Michelins, shouldn't it? Because you see Fisichella's performance. Bridgestone's really had a bit of an edge here.
Yeah, I think they had a tyre edge. I mean, Fisichella's a performance exactly. It just shows what we're up against. But I think we've got the pace. And even if you fuel correct Michael's qualifying strategy, we still had the edge even in qualifying. So we're close. It's just race tyre needs to be a little bit better, which, as you said, in Hockenheim it should be.
I think you've actually got closer to Michael coming out the pit stops than anyone has this season.
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating. You know, we got blocked in the traffic, and Michael was backing us into Rubens at one stage, and then the incident helped a little bit. But it was a good race. We can do better at the next run, though.
Well done, Rum.
The glint. I believe we're going to be joined now by Ross Brawn. Ross, welcome. Doesn't seem to matter to you, does it? 4 stops or 2, the outcome is still the same.
Well, it just to get ourselves out of phase with the others, and you either do it by doing 4 stops, or as today we do it by 2 stops. Give Michael some free track, and you can see what he does.
It always seems to happen that he comes out and there is free track around. Now, you're not just rolling the dice and guessing there, are you? You know what you're doing.
Well, the numbers have got to stack up, and if we see an opportunity, then we go for it. And I say he's the master of it, and he makes us look good, because we just have to give him an opportunity, and away he goes.
Do you still admire those lightning quick laps that Michael can put in? I mean, Kimi's pulled in and he has thrown in 2 or 3 laps and almost decided the race there.
Well, that was a crucial part of the race for sure, and I was amazed we came out of the pits in front of Kimi, because our predictions were that we would come out just behind Kimi, but we're still in a very strong position because of the 2-stop strategy. So for Michael to come out in front of Kimi was fantastic, and really meant that it was difficult for Kimi to respond to that.
For those people who say, oh no, not that red team again, not that man Michael Schumacher again, what would you say to them?
Well, it's difficult. There's half the field who are delighted with what he's doing and half who don't like it, and that's the way it is. But it is history in the making. I mean, the guy is exceptional, and try and enjoy for what it is, because I don't think it'll ever happen again.
Really? You think we're seeing an absolute one-off here, do you?
I think so. So maybe I'm biased.
How about your second driver? How about Rubens Barrichello? He had that wonderful victory here last year. I mean, are we getting to the stage in the season, Ross, where you're thinking, well, we might as well let Rubens have one now?
Well, there's no team tactics now, as you know, so whoever wins. And we had a long debate because Rubens was on a different strategy about how it would work out in the race. And both drivers agreed to race each other, but it didn't come to that. And unfortunately, Rubens got a little bit messy in the middle of the field at one stage. We managed to get him past Jensen in the pit stops, but Kimi was very quick today and couldn't respond to that. Rubens wanted a very aggressive strategy. He was up for a very aggressive strategy. It just didn't quite work today.
What do you feel about your rivals today? Do you think they are getting closer to you, or is the gap as wide as ever, Ross?
No, I think quite close today. I think they're keeping us on our toes, and that's good. I mean, the thing is, it's a different rival each race, which is good for us for the constructors, because McLaren scored today. Last race it was Renault. Prior to that it's BAR. So from the constructors' point of view, it's great we've got all these different competitors, but they're keeping us honest, that's for sure.
Yeah, looking at that constructors' table, I get the feeling you might just keep that at the end of the season if you're very, very, very lucky, Ross. I'd like to have a word before you go about Silverstone, though. This place has a lot of critics. It seems to take a whacking every year we come here. What are your thoughts about Silverstone, the racetrack, and the British Grand Prix?
I think it's a classic racetrack. I mean, you saw the disappointment when we lost Spa, and the efforts that were made to get it back onto the Grand Prix calendar. And I don't think people would let Silverstone go that easily. It's a great racetrack, and tremendous atmosphere, tremendous history, and I think a lot of people will fight very hard before we lose Silverstone, me included.
And celebrations tonight, are you not getting blasé at all, or do you celebrate every victory as though it's going to be your last?
We do wonder if it's going to be our last, so it might surprise you, but we'll have a quiet night tonight, but tomorrow there's a little party in the factory, and then during the week we have a buffet lunch with all the guys, all the guys at the back of the factory who contributed to the successes. So, and that happens every Grand Prix, so our luncheon bill's pretty expensive this year.
And does Ross pour some of that Rosso, some of that red wine as well?
I've been known to, yes.
You enjoy it. We'll see you in Germany. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thank you, Ross.
Hi, David. How did the things go for you? Looked a bit tough out there at times?
Yeah, I haven't really been happy with the balance mechanically through Saturday and the race. Kimi was really hooked up in that place, and apparently it would look like he was like that in the race as well. So I struggled in that area, and each set of tyres I put on, I didn't go any quicker at all. So a bit disappointing for me.
And Ben was saying earlier that he thought that the tyres were a little bit of an issue towards the end of the stints. Did you have the same problem?
Yeah, what tends to happen is we don't, now we've got this sort of graining control, we don't wear the front tyre down, but it loses performance towards the end of the stint. And so you end up with a car that's got oversteer and understeer, so a bit of a four-wheel drift through the corner. I think the Bridgestone tyre is more consistent in these conditions, so we just need to work hard. We've got a test here for 2 days. We've got 2 cars running down in Jerez, and see what we can pick for Hockenheim.
Okay, hope you have a good time here and at Hockenheim. Thanks. Benson, good result. Did you hope for a bit more?
Yeah, we did, but we're just not quick enough. Sat behind the Ferrari, you can see that, and it's everywhere. They just got more grip. In Beckett's, as you know, to start with, it can get a little bit twitchy on the entry, and I've got that, and then I've got a lot of understeer at the exit as well. Exit of Beckett, so it's just very low grip.
You look to be struggling on your third set.
Yeah, it seemed to get worse and worse. I don't know, because there was more rubber laid down or something, maybe it just didn't work for us, but it seemed to get worse and worse. We tried to play with the pressures a bit to help it, but I think it just made it worse.
Well, good luck. Yeah, no, first thing, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you, mate. I'm okay. I just had a rear suspension or something, failure on my rear left end, and then the car just went on the inside, big crash, roll over, but the car worked out pretty well in terms of safety.
Fine?
Yeah, fine. Just a bit crazier than before, probably, but I'm all right.
Okay. Yeah, Mark, you look like you had to work with that one. You sweated quite a bit this race.
Yeah, it was. Had to work really, really hard with the car and look after the race highs on the two-stopper. The guys were in touch with me quite a bit about, just with the engine and getting the most out of it and then saving it at the points that we needed to be strong in the race. So overall, yeah, we couldn't have done any more. I don't think the foundations were laid in qualifying for us. Good start. I got beside one, but had to go on the grass, and it's quite a narrow straight here, so I didn't really have anywhere to go. And then I was just settle for where I am and get through Copse and Beckett's and try and pick up anything we can. But it was a good race. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it's interesting. Obviously, Jarno, something might have broke there or something. A big crash for a safety car at the end of the race, which was unusual. But overall, it was a good afternoon.
No, it's certainly exciting from our side. We didn't know what was going to happen at the end. We thought you were under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, it was a little bit there, yeah. I mean, the Saubers were quite fast, to be honest, and we saw that Giancarlo and also Filippo was quite strong, but we had him covered. It's the cars were strong and weak in different points of the circuit, so I said be careful where not to make any mistakes where I was weak.
Oh, very good drive, very impressive.
Getting better with experience. Thanks.
It's a home run then for Michael Schumacher after another day when he has battered the opposition out of sight. Bye-bye.